Canadian Thanksgiving. Now we have to talk. We got to talk about Canadian Thanksgiving. What the hell? I don't know about that one, man. Like Canadian Thanksgiving? Like what even is that? What even is that? You know what? I guess there's no harm. The real Thanksgiving? Yeah, I doubt it. I guess there's no harm in saying happy Thanksgiving to our Canadian brethren and sisters up north. What did you guys even do? You know? But Canadian Thanksgiving, like what? Did you guys do the same thing? Did you come over? Were you chill? Were you chill with the Native American or the Native Canadian? I don't really know how all of that works. But I guess happy Thanksgiving to everybody. What's up, everybody? How you guys doing, man? Hope you guys had a good weekend. I had a good weekend. And there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to talk about today. We didn't, have a stream on Friday. There were some reports that kind of came out over the weekend. A couple of things I want to get into. Joker 2 somehow got worse. I mean, we're going to talk about that. Like, worse than The Flash. Like, this is crazy. So we got to talk about that. We got to get into that. There's reports of Armor Wars being canceled, and we want to talk about that. Not just the fact that the movie's going to be canceled, but the fact that some of the plot there is going to maybe go into the Vision Quest show. Whole thing on that. And there's a lot of little bits that I want to get into. MCU video game possibility. That's really interesting. That's really cool. There were reports that sort of follow up on some other rumors about Avengers Doomsday, which I think are really cool. And a couple of other things. We got to talk Penguin. Let's see here. What else do we have on here? Daredevil news. Yeah. Lots of little things to get into. How are you guys doing, though? What did you guys do this weekend? How you feeling? Talk Tom Holland? Oh, we'll talk Tom Holland. Don't worry. I got charts, graphs, Venn diagrams, and all that sort of stuff. So we'll get into that. What did you guys do? I have no faith in the Vision Quest project. Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, we'll get into it in a little bit. I'll share my thoughts. Played video games all weekend? Nice. Nice. That's awesome. Let's see here. Tavestin says, top of the morning to all the Nerd Avengers. What's up, brother? Thanks for the membership for 9 months. Appreciate it. Benjamin says, happy 17-month anniversary to being part of this awesome community. Love to all here. Smasturbating Nerd Avengers for life. Okay, awesome. Hey, thanks, brother. Appreciate you. Much love. Zach says, happy Monday all. I gotta watch this after work, but take my money. Your Doom and Wanda video was great. Can't wait to hear the debate with Rob. Oh, yeah. Yo, I low-key kind of forgot about that. I'll text Rob maybe later on, get him in here and talk about that, because I actually do want to have that conversation. And I think that'll be really cool. Oh, man, I gotta plug my phone in, though. It's gonna die. I gotta plug my phone in! Okay. Okay, so yeah, we'll talk about that. Spooky Fortnite update? No, I haven't played it yet. You cooked food for over 2,000 people over the weekend? That is not a small amount of people. Renee, thank you so much. I also want to say, and remind me a little bit later, too, Renee, if you're a Unity person, we're going to have a town hall next Monday night. I had a great meeting with Jonas. We're cooking. We're close on chapter 3. We made some changes to chapter 3. I added a couple of pages, as I'm one to do. But chapter 3 is very close. And I should have some exciting updates for you guys next Monday. So if you are a Unity collector, try to mark the calendar. Come on by if you can. Next Monday night, we will have a big town hall live stream, and I'll be doing a lot of updating about it. Greg and Lizzie says, Josh, thank you so much for all that you do. Love you, bro. Thank you, man. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Forgot Rob? No, I didn't forget Rob. I forgot I was supposed to talk with Rob. By the way, I know it's early. I know it's a Monday. But we need more likes. I demand more likes on the video. We got to get up to 200-300 likes. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like Denzel is Dormammu. He needs his presence. Okay, let's talk a little bit about that rumor. So, Production Weekly, and I'd love clarity on this. If somebody has clarity today on this, let me know. But Production Weekly does apparently have a listing for Doctor Strange 3, which does include Denzel Washington. Okay? But I'm telling you right now, there's no way that's real. Like, it is not cast. That movie is not cast. That movie is like still trying to find a director. I mean, they might have one, but that movie is not very far along in production. You know, we talked about rumors of Sam Raimi hopping in to do that a couple of weeks ago by Jeff Snyder, and I think that's probably accurate. You know, I think they're probably trying to get Sam back for that. I think he'd be a good fit. But like Denzel as Dormammu, that's just not real. Like, it just, so what's going on? Is Production Weekly sort of an IMDb situation where a lot of people can edit it so it's not actually super accurate? That's something I'm starting to believe is happening, because there were a couple other Production Weekly things that happened recently. Yeah, this is a day ago, huh? Status development. But why would Production Weekly even list developed projects? Like, that just feels so weird to me. Also, Shine did come forward to debunk this. I don't think it's real at all. But what I'm more interested in is, what does this mean about Production Weekly? Like, what is happening with that website? And, you know, because let me just say one thing that they could be doing here is they could be making Denzel the Beyonder. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that kind of lines up with some stuff that we've heard, right? There's questions as to whether or not Marvel is even still going to go the route of the Beyonder. But for a while, it seemed like that was something they had in the back pocket, regardless of what was going on with Majors, right? Talking about Unity, I finally read Chapter 2. Should be ready for the Town Hall next week. Hyped for Marvel projects, literally. Nerd Avengers for life. That's awesome, man. I'm glad you got to it. Did you enjoy Chapter 2, Sir Louis Bricks? I think Chapter 2 is great. It really plays as a part 2 to the first chapter, and I think it like brings some more context in. Yeah. Max Couch says, hey Josh, I've been playing the old Batman Arkham games for the first time right now, and I'm almost done with Asylum. Those are great games, dude. Those were fantastic games back in the day. Holy hell. Delta Dan says, 1 year of not being a broke Venger. No offense. Love the community. And you, Josh, thanks, man. Nerd Avengers for life. 3 amigos. Also call Rob. Yeah. I want to call Rob for show. I was so interested in that whole discussion about Doctor Doom. A lot of the rumors. You know, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the past couple of weeks, man, the amount of Marvel rumors that are out there, it's staggering. And I think that's just because there's so much happening right now. What if Feige plays the Beyonder? That would make sense. That would be kind of fun. That would be kind of cool. Okay, I want to do just a little bit of story time. We could catch up on some things, and then we'll get into the news, okay? But I wanted to talk... should we do Tom Holland first, I guess? We could talk a little bit about the Tom Holland thing. And then I want to talk about poker. Because I started playing poker again. Gambling? Nah, not right now. Penguin? We'll talk about Penguin. Penguin's in the news. Penguin's in my notes. I definitely want to talk about it. Or maybe he's just Dormammu Denzel. I don't know. I don't see it. Although, yeah, no, I just don't fucking see it, man. I just don't see it. I've started gambling again, but you guys can't gamble. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. So, I'll talk about poker. Let's talk a little bit about poker. So, this is like a little known bit of the Josh lore. Maybe some of you guys know this. Maybe a lot of you don't. I'm not sure how much I've talked about this. But back in the day, I actually wanted to be a professional poker player. Now, look, everybody that watched Rounders goes through a phase of wanting to be a professional poker player. Okay. And at the time, I think it was like, what, 2003, 2005? This is where Chris Moneymaker wins the World Series of Poker. Now, for those of you that are like, think I'm speaking, a completely different language now, let me explain. The World Series of Poker is like the world championship. It's like figuring out who the best is. They give out bracelets and stuff like that, but there's a main event. Main event has, I think, the biggest prize pool out of all the other events, and it's a big friggin' deal. So Moneymaker wins in, I think it was 2003, and it changed the game of poker because he was an amateur. And look, other amateurs had tabled and maybe won. I'm not 100% sure, but it was the first time in modern poker history that an amateur had won the World Series of Poker. And it really blew poker up, man, because everybody thought they could become a pro now. So anyway, that whole stretch of time was really interesting. And I actually did quit my job and pursue poker full time. I started playing online. I was pretty good. And I had read a lot of different books about poker. I was obsessed, watched all the pros. And I remember I made like 10 grand in a month playing poker. And this was when I was like 19 or 20, right? So I thought that was like all the money in the world, And I was like, dude, I don't need to work anymore. And so I quit my job and attempted to play poker full time. And I think I lasted 3 or 4 more months. Yeah. It was a really crazy experience. It's really fun, but a lot of pressure. So there's this like expression in poker. Is it like, I think they say it's a really hard way to make an easy living because it's really grindy. There's a lot of swings, etc. Right? Regardless of that, I have not played poker seriously in forever. I played a little home game. I think it was like last year. Just met up with some buddies. Fucking cleaned them out, as one does. But I haven't been seriously into poker at all. Okay? So, mostly, I think because of Trev, actually, I've been more interested in poker recently. If you guys know, like Trev, he's playing tournaments. He's, winning some tournaments and playing some cards, right? So he kind of got me interested in checking it out. And over the weekend, I sat down and played a little poker online for the first time in a long time. And let me tell you, man, what a surreal experience, because I'm at this like interesting stage in life where I kind of realize not just my own personal limitations, but the limitations of every human out there. As you begin to get older, going full on grumpy old man Josh here, but as you begin to get older, you realize how little time you actually have and how few things in life you can actually be truly great at. Once you're really good at something and you understand what goes into being really good at it, you also realize how few things an individual human can actually be really good at. Okay? And poker has become a completely different animal than it was when and some of you guys that maybe play, you know about this. You know about game theory optimal poker, where basically like they started to use AI and simulations to try to break the game. And now every person that's playing, especially people that are playing online, I would imagine, are playing a game optimized way that is just so different than when I used to play cards. Like it used to be back in the day, like if you read Doyle Brunson's book, you had an edge on like 60% of the people that would show up at a table. That is no longer the case. And it is a whole crazy world out there. And the whole, like, they call it GTO, Game Theory Optimal, or Optimized or whatever. Holy shit. That is a wild beast, okay? So I started to watch some, like, Daniel Negreanu videos and streams of him, like, breaking it down. And, man, what a it is like a whole different game, man. Like, they let all these, like, kids and Sims and fucking AI, like, take over poker. It's like an unrecognizable, I'm truly telling you, it is unrecognizable to what I used to do. And so, TLDR, like, I don't know how much poker I'm going to be playing, man. It seems inaccessible to me now. But also, I'm really interested in it. Like, I'm interested in this like, sort of high-level thinking. And so, I think I'll just kind of follow my curiosity with it, you know, as, like, a side thing for a while and see if I eventually get to a place where I feel a little bit more comfortable with it. Yeah. No, I played a local game about a year ago. I don't actively really play like that. I think the problem is, like, I guess I just totally underestimated how everybody at a table now is at a certain level because of the Sims and because of the solvers and stuff like that. And that's just wild. Like, that's really interesting. Like, there's a certain set of things in poker that, like, especially pre-flop, it's actually pretty scientific or mathematical as far as, like, this is a good move, this is a bad move, right? Depending on what you're getting, as far as the odds in the pot is, like, you know, 2-1, 4-1. That's a little bit more mathematical. Basically, what I'm trying to say is every person that I played against is playing phenomenal pre-flop poker. I've never seen shit like this. Like, this was like walking into, like, imagine walking into, like, a boxing gym and you used to, like, you know, touch people up. And everybody in there is now so sharp that there's not a sparring session you could do where you wouldn't get touched up yourself. So that was a crazy experience, man. So people are smart now? I mean, I guess, yeah. I guess that's one way to say it. Yeah, they're smarter. That's for sure. And I hate it, man. I hate it. You know? Like, why? Like, just real talk. Why would you want to go play if everybody's good at the game? You know? Like, I would sit at a table with a bunch of people that are tilted and horrible all night long. But if I sit down to a table and there's, like, everybody's, like, really tight and calculated, every single hand's, like, really complicated and everything, why would I sit? For competition? Sure, but I like money. I mean, look, I like competition too. Don't get me wrong. I like competition, and there's a part of me that's like, yeah, I want to figure this out so I can compete. But, dude, just check raising big pots off people and just taking a bunch of money off of a bunch of sheep. Like, that's my kind of poker. So I think I'm probably not going to be a professional poker player, guys. Yeah. No, it's just not, I don't know. It's just not a good move, I don't think. I don't think it's a good move. What's my poker face? It's a good question. I do like a lot of good table talk. I'm going to Vegas end of May. Meet me there. Did you not listen to any of the story? Josh, what song do you have in the Nerd Avengers Tower? You playing WoW? What? Playing WoW? What does that mean? Like World of Warcraft? I used to play for a fast buck every now and again. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, can we talk just a little bit about Tom Holland? Can I just rant a little bit about Tom Holland? And then we'll get into the news. WoW is a Post Malone song. Oh, okay. No. Did I read Absolute Batman? Yes, I did, and I loved it. Wait, Cuddy and ASAP, is that a new song? What happened with Tom? Yeah, Biro happened with Tom. Okay, so this is one of those things where, like, maybe I was off base when I had my initial reaction to this. But, okay, let's go through it. Let's talk about what's happening. So, Tom Holland, of course, on Thursday, made a change to his Instagram account. And it said, like, big announcement tomorrow or something like that, right? And so a lot of us, you know, I was certainly thinking it could be Spider-Man related just because there have been so many crazy reports about Spider-Man over the past couple of weeks. And I was like, oh, shit, they're going to do like an official Spider-Man thing. Oh, my God. Like, dude, this could be huge, you know? And it was for a new non-alcoholic beer. Called Biro. It's literally called Biro. And I'm like, okay. And, look, my initial thought on this was that is the dumbest idea I've ever heard in my life. I was like, what, like, because look, brands, yes, a lot of celebrities are launching their own brands. You know, Rock's a great example. I mean, everybody's got like a goddamn tequila or a whiskey or something, right? So a lot of people been getting into this, and so I think it's, you know, it's fine to want to branch out to build a brand and everything like that. So he does a non-alcoholic beer, okay, but he's had trouble with alcohol. So this is like my whole point. Yeah, Prime, exactly. This is my whole point. And you guys have to help me out here because I obviously don't understand that audience. Okay, so I did a little math. I was like, bro, what are we doing here? Because there's got to be like no fucking market share for this. Who buys non-alcoholic beer? I did 12 years in the restaurant industry. Non-alcoholic beer was the stuff we bought maybe once, maybe twice a year, kept O'Doul's and some other things stocked, and it was just for like 3 or 4 different customers that came in, still wanted to smash beer, but didn't want to have any alcohol, which, by the way, I hope everybody realizes non-alcoholic beer still has alcohol in it. It's a very, very small amount, just like decaf coffee has a very, very small amount of caffeine, because some things in life you just can't get out, no matter how hard you scrub or squeeze. Alcohol being one of them, caffeine being another. Oh, it doesn't anymore? Really? That's crazy. So that, again, this is my ignorance of, and by the way, I don't even know if this guy's, I still think there's probably alcohol in it. But I don't know enough about this world to really make accurate judgment, but I'm still going to talk my shit because I'm a YouTuber. 22 billion market size in 2022. Yeah, so I looked that up, and here's what's interesting. It is an emerging market in a sense where it is going to have a lot of growth. That's what they say. Over the next couple of years, it's going to have a lot of growth. It's been growing steadily, right? So it's like between, you know, I saw some reports like 15 to 20, maybe 20 to 30 billion dollar total market share, okay? But here's the thing. If you look at the market share of actual beer, it's like 700 billion, right? So, I mean, look, maybe that's fine. I guess my question and why I thought this was like such a silly idea is like, so are you telling me that the kind of people that order non-alcoholic beer, which is like, I thought could only be alcoholics. Apparently that's not true. Apparently a lot of the newer generation does a lot of like mocktails and non-alcoholic stuff. Okay. So Again, can't, I don't want to pass judgment, but that's some pussy shit. That is some soft ass new generation pussy shit. Let's put that to bed. Let's not get canceled. Let's try to be empathetic to people, okay? It slipped out a little bit there. Anyway, so I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, so is this very small group of people that are like alcoholics, but still go to bars and need to drink? Because I'm sorry, if I'm an alcoholic, bro, I'm not going to the fucking bar. I'm sorry. Like, imagine being like a cokehead or something, right? Like, you're Conor McGregor, right? And you're like, well, I'm going to need some of that, like, non-actually buzzed cocaine. Like, I still got to go. I still got to go to the back rooms. But I can't. It just doesn't make sense to me. Okay, so anyway, you've got a group of people that are alcoholics but still want to go to the bar. And those people are supposed to see Beero and think that's the beer Spider-Man made and want to drink it. Like, what the fuck are we doing here, man? From a branding perspective, I just don't see it. I don't see it. Like, maybe I'm wrong. Like, maybe a bunch of people that are alcoholics would like, I can't wrap my head around it in any sense of the word. I don't fucking understand it at all. I don't understand that at all. Justin says, LOL, let's be real. You're mainly just mad that he didn't announce Spider-Man 4. Yeah, you're probably right. But also, like, I'm sorry, I just don't think this kid makes good decisions. By the way, I probably shouldn't call him a kid. How old is Tom now? What is he, like 40? I just look at the decisions outside of getting the Spider-Man role, and I'm just like, this role's ridiculous. This thing's ridiculous. What the fuck are we doing here? And we're doing a non-alcoholic beer brand called Beero? Like, you can't call... It's literally called Beero. He's 28? Okay, cool. Okay, so he's still a kid. He's still young. He's investing. Well, I mean, he's branching out. And look, at the end of the day, like, here's the truth. It doesn't matter, okay? He's about to make so much goddamn money in the next 5 years. It doesn't matter. He's going to be fine. I'm just like, what? Like, I don't know. It just, and again, maybe I'm way off base here. Maybe I don't know at all what I'm talking about. But I just think you're going after the niche of niche things. I don't know. What do you think, guys? What do you think? Am I being crazy? Am I being unfair here? Are you going to drink Tom Holland's non-alcoholic beer? He's British. I'm pretty sure he drinks a lot. Who, Tom? Well, I don't think he drinks at all anymore. I thought that was the whole point. He had, like, problems with alcohol, right? 33 is the new 21. Okay, sick. This is huge with Gen Z. Yet by chance it's niche. Maybe he's not investing a lot in it. Well, the only thing that I saw in the data was like, it is sort of an emerging market. There's growth potential. So you think about like, how much growth potential is there really for the actual beer industry? What you're really talking about is like chiseling out a chunk of market share. Now, I would argue, if that's what you're doing and you're going to use brand to leverage, go after the biggest market. Go after, like, that's why, like, the tequila thing, right? Like, Rock is grabbing up a chunk of a really big market. You know, Prime, right? Prime is grabbing up a chunk, even albeit like kind of like a small chunk of a massive market. So I don't understand going after such a small market and trying to leverage celebrity. It just feels like a mismatch, right? And then like the whole thing of, oh, well, he had alcohol problems, so this is why he wants to do it. I'm like, I understand that from a human perspective. Tell me how that's good branding. How does that, like, how does one use their alcoholism in a positive way? Like, I don't know. It just, It just seems goddamn ridiculous about it. And the only reason I'm even talking about it is because we got into it on the Discord a little bit. Maybe he wants to be a good example for others. God bless you, Chef Moriarty. Should have cooked a little bit more on this take. You think it's a bad take? You think it's a bad take? Oh, what the fuck? This can help me quit like it helped Tom. It's not your best. Oh, I'd agree with that. I mean, I think it's a... I think it's frankly a topic that'll probably never be brought up again. And I think it'll probably go on to fail, question mark? I don't know. I'm too old, Josh. I like real beer. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't even like drink like that. You know what I mean? I mean, I definitely can, but I don't really drink like that. I guess I'm not really a consumer within that whole thing, so I don't really fully understand it. I just saw it and I was like, this is a stupid, like, what are we doing? I just thought it was so goddamn ridiculous. Like, I genuinely feel that way. But, you know, it's fine. Like, whatever. I don't have ill will towards Tom, and I hope it works out. But I do think it's just such a silly idea. I will say one thing about it, though. If I assume, and maybe this is like a big opportunity for that brand, I would assume that within NA, because I like looked it up, and you know, like I didn't even know like O'Doul's was like Anheuser-Busch. Heineken apparently has a non-NA beer that's like doing really well. So if there's an opportunity for like craft beer and that whole vibe to like enter into the NA space, sure. And maybe he could like corner that market. But again, I just feel like it's such a niche market. Like, how many NA drinkers want craft beer taste in their NA? I mean, I honestly have no fucking idea. And maybe there is a percentage there. So in that sense, like, it could be good. It could be fine. I just thought it was such a wild thing to do. Yeah. Craft hop water. Exactly. Beer isn't that tasty. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really think beer's that tasty. I mean, sometimes like a really ice cold beer can feel refreshing. But yeah. I always viewed non-alcoholic beer as the same way as all veggie food that tastes like meat and so on. If you don't want the thing, why make something look or taste like that thing that you don't want? Yeah. Yeah. You know what, too? It's like, we're sitting here talking about it, and even though I think it's probably not the best business decision, it's probably more ethical than, like, the Lunchables thing, right? Because you think about like what Lunchables is, it's almost exactly what I'm talking about. A massive fucking market that has this huge overlap with the brand that these guys built, which is young people. And then they're just trying to grab up a little bit of a market share, and it sucks. Like, it's probably really smart from a money perspective, but ethically, like, it sucks. Like, do you know what I'm saying? So at least you could give Tom some credit for like trying to build an ethical brand that sort of branches off of his thing. And maybe it'll be fine. But I was just like, oh, it just feels so weird. Ice cold beer on a summer day, so good. But honestly, I prefer a glass of whiskey. Damn, Dark Angel. Are you just slamming glasses of whiskey? Holy hell. Why drink beer when you could smoke meth, says Blue X. Interesting point. I never quite heard it put that way before, but now that you mention it. All right, everybody. Shall we get into it? Shall we get into the news? Ladies and gentlemen, it is October 14th, and we've got a ton of crazy news for you today. We've got to talk about DC, Penguin, Joker, It's not great. Either one of them, in my opinion. We also got to talk about Marvel Armor Wars with Don Cheadle. Canceled movie. But apparently some of the plot for that is going to be going into the Vision show. I want to talk about that. I want to clarify about that. We've had screen testing of the new Daredevil show. Thank God, because it actually sounds friggin' dope as hell. Mention of an MCU video game, which I think is pretty crazy. And more little bits. Let's get into it. Where's the button? Where's the clicky thing? Chat, what the fuck? Here we go. It's like the news, but for nerds. Man, we're gonna have to work on that shit. My God. Okay, anyway, let's get into it, and let's begin with the Joker news. How many of you, by the way, went out to watch Joker 2 this weekend? That's Invincible news. Where's my camera? Okay, yeah, so how many of you guys actually went out? The answer is not a lot of you. The greatest... Oh, you did? Oh, my God. Also, too, side note here, totally random. I had a meeting with the Unity artist Jonas yesterday, and we were just kind of chatting it up. And randomly, Jonas is actually one of the people on the planet that liked Joker 2. So we're looking for another artist on Unity, basically. Because holy shit. Now, this movie had already made all kind of headlines. It was massively disappointing in its first weekend, and it looked like it was going to be a total bomb. But we don't get the complete picture until we get to weekend number 2 and look at what the drop-off is. And my God, it's official. Joker Folie, I think that's how you say it, collapsed by a jaw-dropping 81% in its second weekend. Joker sequel makes $7 million this weekend, tumbling from opening weekend of 37.7, which was below expectations to begin with. On a small note on that, it is worth talking about how the studios, particularly, obviously Warner Brothers, was out there kind of hounding the press in order to get them to try to say that this was a higher number. There was initially reports that it was going to be 39 million. Warner Brothers actually reached out to the trades on last Sunday, and they changed it. They changed it to like a 40 million prediction. We didn't know for sure which way it was going to go. And then we found out that Monday that it was even lower than 39. It came in at 37.7. So, I mean, there's just so many words that you could use to describe what a letdown and what a failure that is. 81% drop, though, that's crazy. So that is the worst drop in history for a comic book movie in its second weekend. It is worse than The Flash. And we're going to talk about The Flash because this is another movie that seems to be completely rejected by audiences. Warner Brothers just has like this unique talent. Their ability to fuck shit up is crazy, right? I thought The Flash was maybe going to be the worst that they'd ever had. It looks like Joker 2 might actually end up being even worse. It is also tied, I believe, for the greatest second weekend fall off of a big budgeted movie ever. Only tied with a movie called Geely, I believe, which is widely considered one of the worst movies ever made. Okay, and this adds to all the stuff we were talking about last week, right? D cinema score, lowest ever for a comic book movie. This is a total and complete disaster. So what does this actually mean? Well, I think it just means at this point that it's bomb guaranteed. And we'll see how the next couple of weeks work out for the film. But at this point, the trajectory is absolutely awful. So this movie's probably going to lose $100 million, maybe $150 million. Another thing that's really interesting about this movie in particular is the fact that Warner Brothers, and I believe this was a David Zaslav idea. I got this from Grace. She was talking about this. This movie only had one other investor. Okay? So basically, Zaslav, who again is like, dude, he's so good at being horrible. It's kind of amazing. They should probably just like do the opposite of what he's thinking in all these meetings. So Zaslav did not want to share in the profits of Joker 2 because Joker 1 is one of the most profitable movies ever made. Had $60 million budget, made over $1 billion. Massive, massive money. That's crazy money. That's like fucking Avatar money, right? Like absurd levels of profit. So Zaslav did not want to share in that profit. So they only had one other investor on this movie. Warner Brothers fronted the majority of the cash. so that they could get the majority of the profit. So this is a failure that's potentially even worse than Flash, because Warner Brothers really leveraged, really went out on a limb to try to gain from what they thought was going to be a sure hit of a sequel. So an absolute disastrous situation for Joker 2. I can't believe it got worse, but it actually did get worse. And I mean, again, we'll see more info in the next couple of weeks here, but if this doesn't like end Todd Phillips's career, it's at least putting it on hold for a long, long time. This is so bad. You could potentially see executives at Warner Brothers be fired over such a decision. Now, the one thing I'm really interested in is, does this loss, how much will this loss actually cut into the profit of Joker 1? That's something that I'm pretty interested in. And there could be sort of like a shifting here where maybe the profit was massive for the first film, but the studio didn't get all that profit. And they're now getting the majority, the lion's share of the loss. I don't know that anybody's ever even going to like report this, but that's something that I'm kind of still curious about when it comes to Joker is the second movie going to lose so much money that it wipes out the profitability of the first movie? Insane. Other than that, all the conversations we've been having, all the conversations around fandom still apply. I think this is sort of an obvious example of like, if you make a movie that's kind of like a fuck you to the fans, I mean, it's just not going to go well. But I mean, you think about Flash, like Flash wasn't really that. To a degree, it felt like that because of Warner Brothers' sort of defense of Ezra, GTA and Hawaii kind of dude. But at the end of the day, it was a movie that was supposed to celebrate DC. I think fans were excited for it. And yet DC fans just kind of snuffed it out for what it was and completely rejected it. Now it looks like this is going to be rejected in the same way. And one reason why that's important is because the Flash movie did not even perform on digital, okay? It didn't even perform on digital. Like, it didn't crack into, like, top 5 charts on digital ever, dude. Even when it was free on streaming, it didn't chart. So that's a movie that was pretty much completely rejected. Joker 2 is likely going to have that same situation. So Joker 2, basically making no more money. It's not going to really have a second life on digital. It's not going to have a second life on streaming. It's a total, complete, absolute failure. And I mean, yeah, I guess we just kind of know the full extent of that, or at least the majority of the extent of that. I think it's absolutely insane. I would love to know what you guys think, though. Is there anyone among you that can defend Joker or that thinks this is a good idea? Or is it just like, hey, Joker, it's Jover, and Todd Phillips is never going to work in this town again? Super curious as to what you guys think about that. Now, I do want to get into some Penguin talk because there was a lot of hype around the 4th episode of The Penguin. I myself hyped up the 4th episode of The Penguin a bit because I saw some of my friends and contemporaries hyping it up. You know, Paul from Heavy Spoilers, who usually, Paul and I actually share a lot of taste. We feel very similar about a lot of different projects. A lot of people really, really liked Penguin 4. I'm curious, did you guys watch Penguin episode 4? Did you really like it? Put your score for Penguin episode 4 into the chat. I gotta see what you guys think, because I thought it was absolute ass, bro. I thought it was trash. I thought it was horrible. Okay, this is crazy to me. This is crazy to me. I am seeing in the chat a ton of 8 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 9.8, a bunch of people saying it's amazing. What is going on here? I feel like I have to be on a different planet. I cannot believe that people actually were hyped up on that episode and thought it was really cool. It can't be the case. Let me tell you what happened when we sat down to watch Penguin, okay? I was really excited. I was really excited, and I've had to convince my wife to continue to watch the show with me. We watched the first couple episodes. They're boring as hell. And she doesn't really like DC like that, so she was like pretty much off it, man. In fact, it was a struggle to get her to even check out second and third episode. And she like eventually did. So I'm like trying to hype her up, getting her all excited. I'm like, dude, everybody's talking about this Penguin episode 4. Oh my God, it's gonna be great. And by the way, I thought the third episode of the Penguin was fantastic. I thought the third episode was the best episode yet. I felt like a lot of what people were saying about the first 2 episodes was actually true of the third episode. And oh my God, bro. I thought the fourth episode of The Penguin was some of the most boring shit I had ever seen in my life. They were trying to set up the story of Sophia, right? And they've been teasing aspects of Sophia throughout the entire thing. And there is curiosity there. Like, I'm not going to say that I was completely disinterested. I think Sophia's, she's an interesting character. And I do think that the performance is good. The intrigue is decent. And so, yeah, like I would have been down to learn more about that. I don't know about the decision to make the whole ass episode a Sophia episode. I feel like that's a little bit wild. Penguin is technically in there a bit, but not really. And I just got to say, I think a lot of the choices of how to tell the different things they wanted to tell were just so boring, dude. We were like a half hour into that episode, and we're like checking the time. Like, do we really need to keep watching this? I thought it was all ridiculous, contrived. I thought the Arkham shit was like, it was so over the top that I was laughing at it. Not with it, I was laughing at it. I was like, this is so goobly garbage. Like, the over-the-top accents, the doctors, all of it. Oh, I thought it was so stupid. The part where the police pull Penguin over and arrest Sophia, terrible. So stupid. What a cool, interesting idea that's done in the most awkward scene imaginable. Shot like interior exterior with cars. I just thought it was so stupid and so boring. Oh my God, I can't believe it. I can't believe it, dude. So we turned it off. I went back and finished it. Okay, because I knew you guys would be so mad at me if I just turned it off halfway through and didn't watch any more of it. So I was like, literally, Elisa went to bed and I said, I got to go finish Penguin. Everybody's going to be mad if I don't finish Penguin. Okay, so I start watching Penguin. It felt like fucking torture, dude. To get to the end of that episode felt like torture. I felt like I had accomplished something at the end after watching it. This is, and I guess what I'm really confused about, right, is how are people saying this is good? I think that's probably what I'm most confused about. How are people saying that this is a good show? I like parts of it. I will admit it's more popular than I thought it would be. But, bro, this shit is so boring. Incredibly boring. And look, here's the thing. The obvious comparison comes into Agatha, right? And I gotta be honest, the last couple episodes of Agatha, I have not loved. You know, we had a 25-minute episode last week, which has a crazy ending, and I'm really interested in it. But, you know, the trial aspect of that episode I thought was kind of lame. The episode before with, like, the musical shit I thought was kind of lame. So I'm, like, real iffy on Agatha. But, like, to me, Agatha is so much more interesting. So much more interesting than what we have going on in Penguin. Now, some of that has to do with, like, the MCU overall. There's a lot cooler, crazier things within Marvel that we can extrapolate out, think about, you know, all that sort of stuff. But, bro, Penguin is so boring. Like, I'm shocked. I am legitimately shocked that people like the show I'm really shocked at all the people that hyped up episode 4. Like, honestly, like, I gotta hit Paul up, man. I just gotta be like, what's going on over there? Like, what is it? Like is this a Europe thing? Like, what you guys got something in the water? Like, is this a part of, like, your fucking midlife crisis? You know, you buy a McLaren? I mean, what else you got? What else you buying, Paul? You know, you having a good time over there? Because there's no goddamn way. There's no way. This man said that was the best hour of television that he had seen all year. It felt like fucking torture. It felt like I was being waterboarded, and the penguin ate a bunch of asparagus, and it was pissing all over my face. So anyway, that's my, eloquently put together, nuanced, just beautiful fucking segment here about Penguin. Would love to know what you think about this, though, guys. I mean, what do you think? You think I'm right? You think I'm wrong? You think I'm crazy? What? I'm at a loss, man. I'm at a loss. The difference in acting levels between Penguin and Agatha is night and day. I will say that the performances in Penguin are very good. I can admit that I would say so far, absolutely, Penguin has stronger performances than Agatha, right? But there's plenty of stuff that's like really well performed that's still boring as fuck. Like, that's just what it is. Brick said, everyone is wrong except for me. Oh, well, that's crazy. Austin says, check out the new trailer for Agatha. I watched the new trailer for Agatha, and parts of it are cool. I gotta be honest with you. I don't know if Agatha is gonna be able to stick the landing. I'm pretty curious. I want to see how the next couple of episodes of Agatha go. I'm like really on the fence about Agatha. Am I interested in what's going on with Billy? For sure. Do I think the show's going to give me a satisfying experience of figuring that out? I'm not so sure. You know? But like, to me, you know, I guess the shows are very similar, right? In a sense, because they're like spin-off shows to other popular property. Marvel, of course, has, you know, this sort of Marvel universe that then, you know, bolsters the interest of any particular project within that because of canon. Penguin is similar, though, because this is a show that is canon to the Batman universe, potentially to the whole DCU if they figure that out, right? Because I think Gunn and Warner Brothers, Zaslav, still wants Battinson's world to be, you know, shared with what's going on in the DCU. So they're very similar in that sense. And maybe, like with Agatha, I keep having this thought of like, even if it's not super great, it's not so bad that I'm upset. Like Secret Invasion was that. Like Secret Invasion was so bad that I was like really mad. I was really mad as a fan. I felt let down as a fan. I felt like, what the fuck are we doing here? And remember, too, that I'm a person that for maybe a year, maybe 2 years, has basically said they should cancel Agatha. Like, I said that shit often. And Agatha has surprised me, you know, because I came in like with a pretty negative, you know, connotation. I didn't think they'd be able to do anything really interesting in it. And I've also heard some horrible things about certain plot elements. And Agatha surprised me so far. It's been cool. It's been interesting. And I like the mystery of it. Penguin, to me, like, my experience with Penguin has been wild. I turned the first episode off. I thought it was trash. I didn't watch it for a couple of weeks. We did the subathon. And I think we were like in the 10th, maybe 12th, 13th hour of the subathon. And we decided to finish Penguin. Now, I will say the second half of episode 1 of Penguin, decent. Actually had me interested enough to then check out the second one. And the second one was like, it's all right, you know. Kept me interested in enough for the third. And the third episode of Penguin is really good, dude. Like, third episode of Penguin, I think it's fire. I think it's really good. And then I heard all this stuff about the fourth, and man, I almost turned it off. So, like, I am kind of reluctantly enjoying Penguin, and yet it's still pissing me off. And it's still like, It's just boring, dude. Episode 4 is far better, bro. What are you smoking? How can you say that? What part of the episode was like really cool to you? You know? Boring is subjective, though. I mean, normally I would say that boring is subjective. I'd also say art is subjective. And I would also say that, like, everybody's entitled to their opinions. But in this instance, I'm going to literally say all of that doesn't matter. I'm going to say, nope, not this time. This shit was so goddamn boring that I'm going to have to label an objective boring as fuck, stamp it right on that shit, tell you it's horrible, and everybody that really likes it is fucking wrong. You have a bad opinion. Your opinion sucks. So, you know, that's kind of where I'm at. That's kind of where I'm at with the Penguin, ladies and gentlemen. Yo, real talk, though. Like, what is good about the episode? What did you like about it? Like, what is it? We're talking about Penguin. Rob, let me finish a couple more bits of news here, and then I'll give you a call if you're available. We'll talk a little bit about Dr. Damn. Did you get your coffee this morning? I did. Maybe I should sip a little bit more of it. That's nice. See, VW Vinny G says, LOL, I agree with Josh. Turn Penguin episode 4 off halfway through. Dude, it was trash. You hate it. Means nothing to me. I enjoyed it for real. Good for you for hating on it. Not changing my mind. Eric, I respect that. It's a character building. How hard is it to see fleshing out the character and the acting so good? Bro, I could have wrote a way better version of that episode. Now, I don't know if I could have written it the way they did because it was like shoestring budget. Like there was like nothing in that episode, bro. Like literally, like you could have shot that episode maybe cost them like $5, you know? But I would have spent a little bit and I would have made it a little more crazy. I mean, why didn't they inject her with some kind of psychedelic thing and start going like hyper visual with some of the effects just so that it's fucking interesting, dude? Oh my God, it was so boring. I thought the only good episode was 3. Yeah, it's pretty good. Hyperbole galore. What's that mean? What would you have done? Well, I mean, I just said that. I would have probably introduced some drugs, went a little crazier with the visuals. I also probably would have had the end scene with Sophia and the dinner. I would have had a sort of continuous bridge to that. I would have had that speech kind of hang over the entire episode. I definitely would not have done the scene where the cops arrest her with Oz in the car, just because I don't get the impact that I'm looking for with that scene. So I would have definitely written that differently. I would not have had annoying, cringe, horror person roommate that she ends up beating. Just like all the Arkham stuff I would have done way differently. So, yeah, that's what I would have done. Hugo Strange is perfect for this show. That's true. That's true. The dinner speech was good. The dinner speech was decent, but it's like you get to this, it's so annoying. Like you have to get there, and then that part of it was kind of decent. I like the shots of like her walking through the house with all the dead family. Some of that stuff's cool, but yeah, just really boring the way it was all put together, in my opinion, of course. The stuff outside the prison was all right. Jezzo says, from film school to TikTok Gooner, a Josh Lucas story. That's not bad. I'll put that on a t-shirt. Thoughts on the scene with her and her dad? Best scenes in the episode. Yeah, I like those. Those scenes were the only thing I liked, frankly. Yeah. In the prison, they could have just condensed or just sprinkled throughout the episode via flashbacks. Yeah. I just think Arkham needs to be more... I mean, I'm going to say it. Crazy. World building, 2 character development setup, and Sophia is hot. I mean, Sophia is certainly an attractive lady. You won't get me complaining about that. Okay? Yeah. All right, guys, I want to wrap up the Penguin talk. Let's talk a little Marvel here. Any last minute thoughts on the Penguin? Anybody? I guess the obvious question is, will I be watching the next episode? Yes. Will I be complaining about the episode? Probably. Let's just wait and see. Calvin says, great episode. Oh, my God. Henry Cavill. Oh, my God. It's fire and you're a hater. Holy shit. I said, bring sexy back. Sexy equals Stubbs. I mean, yeah, that's fair. Please move on. Don't watch it. Isn't she the mother from How I Met Your Mother? I'm actually not sure. Not sure about that. Cavill for Cyclops? That'd be cool. Just don't watch, man. Leave it to the gooners like me to watch. What? I don't know what's going on. I don't understand what the hell's happening in chat. So we're moving on to Marvel. By the way, I'm trying to find a balance here, guys, because we're going to start doing a lot of these nerdy news rundowns on the podcast feed. And so I'm trying to figure out how to continue to engage with chat and have like different segments and have it still work in audio. And one of the things I've been thinking is like, I'll have to say during the segment, now I'm going to check out what chat is saying. And again, if you're listening to this on the podcast feed and you want to get your thoughts onto the show, come on by when we do this show live, et cetera, et cetera. But to be honest, like, you guys are fucking wild too. So I don't know exactly how to handle all this. Bean says, hey, Josh, I saw a rumor that the way they're going to do RDJ Doom is he's going to meet Victor in the cave instead of Jensen. Victor dies and he takes the name. I don't think so. But, hey, maybe. Where did you hear the rumor? Yeah, man, you are just some wild and crazy guys, huh? Okay, let's talk about the Vision show. Oh, man, this one's kind of wild, ladies and gentlemen. This one is kind of wild. Okay, so Armor Wars, Vision Quest. These are Marvel things. Don Cheadle, in an interview with TV Line, when asked about the current status of the project, said, you can find out and let me know. I'm not sure where anything is at right now. I think he actually clarified that a little bit and said, things are just in motion. A lot of things are changing. But what was interesting about this bit was that it kind of hit the internet in like just the right way, where a lot of insiders and scoopers were retweeting it and sharing it and being like, yeah, that shit's canceled. Okay. By the way, I think Grace had mentioned that this was likely going to be canceled over 2 months ago. I remember that making waves. And then I also remember talking to some people, including some like people that did public relations in Hollywood. And they had mentioned to me that some projects would be quietly sidelined and we'd never talk about them again. I think this is probably one of those projects. I also have something absolutely fucking wild to reveal about Marvel's original plan for the show. And I want to do that in a second here. But it does appear that Armor Wars is gone. Okay? And in fact, so much so that now scoopers are trying to clarify and comment on what is happening with the story elements from Armor Wars. Okay? Alex Perez is suggesting... pardon me. Alex Perez is suggesting that a lot of Armor Wars is being repurposed for someone else. And he shared like this gif of Vision. And so there's a lot of reports that maybe aspects of the Armor Wars movie are going to go into the Vision Quest show. That's weird because like Armor Wars was going to be a show. You remember this, dude? You guys pay attention when we sort of covered the release of Armor Wars over the last couple of years. The thing starts off as a show. Then it's changed to a movie. Okay? And that was big news when it happened. Now it's changed to being a B-plot in Vision's show. And it's like, okay, that's pretty weird. That's pretty wild. Now, what elements could be adapted into the Vision show? Well, I personally think it has to do with Ultron. Okay? remember that James Spader is apparently coming back in Vision Quest as Ultron. Okay, so I think some of the elements of like Ultron, some of the Stark Tech stuff will be, put into Vision Quest. Vision was technically created by Stark. That's kind of interesting. But all of a sudden, the Vision Quest show feels like a show that is getting pretty crowded. They're going to probably throw so much into this thing that it hopefully is a popular show, because it might have Elizabeth Olsen, might have James Spader as Ultron, definitely going to have Paul Bettany, and there's a possibility of them taking Tommy, Wanda's other kid, and having him be a part of this show now, right? So, like, Vision Quest is rapidly changing, and it's adapting some of the elements of Armor Wars. I guess, curious what you guys think about that. I think at this point, it looked like Armor Wars was going to feel a lot like Captain America 4, where there's some cool stuff going on in Captain America 4, but I think ultimately when you look at everything else and all the stuff that they're building, it just feels super weak. Like, it just feels weak. Like, I'm really struggling with, like, how to get excited for Captain America 4, and what should I even, like, say about it? Because there's elements that I think are cool. Post-credit scene rumors, Amadeus Cho. There's some elements there that are interesting. But a lot of the screenings keep coming back and saying it's just flat. It's just boring, right? And I think that's probably because this was a movie that's been being worked on for years, dude. They have been building this thing for fucking years and remaking it and putting it in front of screen testing. And I think a lot of the stuff, when it comes to Captain America, they keep taking things out, right? All the Sabra stuff they took out. A lot of hard-edged political stuff they took out. And it, from what I understand, it's left the film just feeling very flat and kind of boring. And I also think, we're still in this hangover from Phase 4 and Phase 5, where projects that were greenlit during Phase 4 just have a bad vibe, man. It feels like the studio was like, we can do whatever we want. We can do whatever we want. We slap a Marvel logo on there. We can do a spinoff to the spinoff to the spinoff, and these motherfuckers will show up and eat it up. And that turned out to not be true. So I think there's like this big stink that kind of hangs over a lot of the Phase 4, Phase 5 stuff. Is Vision Quest going to be one of these shows that's reworked that actually is good? Because it seems like the only one that they've actually accomplished that with is Daredevil Born Again. And we're going to talk a little bit about that because there's been some screenings out there. It's actually pretty hyped up. But Vision Quest itself, I just don't know. Like, does Armor Wars being canceled and elements of that being put into the show, does that make it more exciting? I mean, if we get more Cheeto, I guess that's like an extra element of interest there. I'm not really sure. Okay. Last point on this. Okay. This, and I would love it if the scoopers and insiders came out to basically explain that I'm right. I kind of think nobody's going to say shit about this. Okay. But I believe this. And this came from a very reliable person. I've actually hinted at it before in the past. It is the number one reason that I'm actually glad that they canceled the Armor Wars movie. Because the original plan for Marvel Studios was to make Ironheart, Riri Williams, the actual 616 variant of Kang. And a big element of Armor Wars was going to be sort of setting her up as the Iron Lad of 616? Yeah. And this is one of those things where when I heard it, I was like, this is the stupidest fucking idea I've ever heard in my life. This would be like trying to leverage your fucking massive brand as Spider-Man to sell non-alcoholic beer called Beero. Like, just doesn't seem like a good idea. Okay. But also, if you take yourself back to the mentality of what Marvel Studios was doing, doesn't it kind of feel right in line with like phase 4 thinking? Like, doesn't that kind of feel exactly like what a bunch of idiots were cooking up behind the scenes at Marvel Studios? Remember how Bo DeMayo was talking about how there was an executive there that he did not name. By the way, Bo, if I sign up for your OnlyFans, will you tell me who this person is? I'm like dead ass. I will sign up today. He said there was an executive at Marvel Studios that felt they were so much smarter than the comic books that they didn't need to adapt things from comics. And this was the person he said was going to do Wolverine and who was he going to ship together? What it was I forget who he was shipping, but it was Emma Frost. Emma Frost and Wolverine were going to have a relationship in there. Okay, anyway. Point being, horrible, god-awful idea. Now, we might have been saved from this idea just because they go away from Jonathan Majors. But, dude, I'll take a dub any way I can get it. Holy shit. Are you kidding me? That's very bad. That would have been so stupid. And I'm so glad they're going away from it. Okay, so obviously, hopefully, by the way, wouldn't it be so funny if they still brought that over into the Vision Quest show? Oh my God, please don't still do this in the Vision Quest show. Please don't try to do some weird Children's Crusade bullshit with, oh God, don't do it. No, fuck no, don't do it. Oh shit. No. So hopefully they don't do it. But just wanted to kind of put that out there. So again, the news. Armor Wars very likely to be canceled. Okay, that's kind of being said by insiders and people out there. I wonder if that shocks you. It doesn't really shock me. Elements from that show are now being adapted into the Vision Quest show. Vision Quest, you know, look, I want to give the show credit because I don't think they've rolled cameras on Vision Quest. So, like, part of the problem with, like, Agatha and Echo is, like, they shot those 2 years ago, dude. Like, Agatha wrapped, like, 2 years ago, from what I understand. And I think they did 1 day of reshoots. Now, it could have been, like, a 16-hour day, but they did not extensively reshoot. The budget for Agatha is less than $40 million, so they didn't pay people shit, right? So, Agatha's a show that was shot and then repurposed. Captain America was a movie that was shot and repurposed. Technically, Daredevil was a show that was shot and repurposed. We're going to talk about Daredevil in a second because it seems like that one actually worked. Funny. And to be fair to the Vision Quest show, they have not shot. I believe they have not rolled cameras. So, whatever they cook up for Vision Quest could be interesting. If they have Wanda, if they have Spader, if they have Tommy, if there's interesting maybe connections to Magic or Doom or something like that, it could be good. I want to give the show credit, but it also kind of feels like some of that Phase 4 energy where they're like, well, we have this, we can rework it. It's like, oh, man, I don't love that. Like, just make good shit, and sometimes you got to just let stuff go. You know, sometimes I do think you need to cancel things, which technically they did with Armor Wars, so I can't completely complain, but that's the news. That's the report. Would love to know what you all think about this, but now let's shift into talking about Daredevil Born Again. This is another one of these shows that was shot. They said it was awful. I mean, dude, Kevin said they could not release it. It was unreleasable. There was a big article in the Hollywood Trades when they did the creative overhaul, and one of the things they said was Kevin Feige was looking over the show and thought it was unsalvageable. So they fired everybody, fired the writers, recreate the show, total different concept, different tone. They bring back a bunch of different actors. We are now beginning to hear the buzz from the test screenings for that show. Okay? Marvel's Daredevil Born Again test screenings reveal a gritty, mature tone beyond the Netflix series. We're over here on maxblizz.com. Marvel Television's Daredevil Born Again has completed its first test screenings. According to an insider, Marvel's Disney Plus series has a more mature and gritty tone than the Netflix series. I want to say that again. People are saying that it is more mature and it is more gritty than what you got on the Netflix show. Very curious as to what you think about that. The article continues. In a recent interview on ABC's On the Red Carpet, Storytellers Spotlight stage during D23, Brad Winderbaum, head of streaming television and animation at Marvel Studios, stated that the New York City in Daredevil Born Again is as intricate, problematic, and scary as the world of Game of Thrones. I kind of like that. That's cool. Winterbaum said, all these forces vying for control, and it can be really hopeful at times and really violent at times and dark, but also there's light at the end of the tunnel if you could just fight for it. Daredevil Born Again was co-directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, with Dario Scarabban serving as the showrunner, replacing Matt Corman and Chris Ord. So, little note here, there was not a showrunner in the first version of this show. And this is actually like a big thing that Marvel did, part of why all their shows were terrible. They didn't have showrunners. They would have lead writers and executives. Sometimes the lead writer was not even there as they were wrapping up the show, and the executives were like making all the decisions. It was very dysfunctional. So Matt Corman and Chris Ord were the writers. They were what was known as the lead writers. There were no showrunners billed in the original version of the show. Due to the creative overhaul, they now have a showrunner. According to the show's new plot, Marvel Studios presents Daredevil Born Again, in which longtime rivals Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk attempt to leave behind their darker alter egos to serve the people of New York, only to have their past catch up with them. Dude, that is an intriguing log line. Holy shit. The new cast of Daredevil Born Again includes Margarita Levianova as Heather Glenn, Nikki M. Gems as Kirsten McDuffie, both of whom were love interests of Murdoch in the comics. Also, Michael Gandolfini will portray Daniel Blade, Artie Frozen as Buck Kashmir, Bernthal as Frank Castle Punisher, Wilson Bethel as Benjamin Poindexter / Bullseye, and Vanessa, the person that played Vanessa, is back as well. Pretty freaking cool. So, there have been screen testings. People like it. Even darker than the Netflix series. And some people were like, how's that even possible? Like, how could this be darker than what's going on with Netflix? Well, it has to do with the character of Muse. So, you know, the original Daredevil show is pretty dark. It's pretty gritty. I love that show. Maybe one of the best comic book shows ever produced ever, right? It's fantastic. It has a great legacy, and I really like it. By the way, is there something going on with the video, chat? Is the video still good? Give me 1 second here, too. I have to fix that. I saw like it got like weird for a second there. Could be just me though. Looks good. Cool. Okay, so I think that the old Daredevil's pretty dark. Like there's that episode where Wilson Fisk smashes the dude's head off with the car door. That shit was brutal. A lot of the action sequences are really brutal. Isn't the Punisher's hallway scene technically in Daredevil season 2? That shit's brutal. Right? And so you ask yourself, like, how could it be more dark and gritty than that? Well, I think that's going to have to do with the character of Muse. Muse is a really interesting character from Marvel Comics. Muse actually is initially helped by Matt Murdock and then ends up becoming very brutal in his anti-Wilson Fisk campaign, using body horror. So one of the things that Muse is known for is mutilating people and making art out of their blood and organs. So like I'm talking about like some of the darkest, most disgusting shit you can possibly imagine. And the reason that's important to the story is because Wilson Fisk is a bad guy. Okay? Daredevil is a good guy. Punisher's like an anti-hero, but not quite a bad guy. In order for this plot to work, Muse has to be so dark and so bad that he becomes a threat to both Fisk and to Daredevil. Yeah. So you need an element that's like so bad that's going to bring the villain and the hero together to try to stop him. That's what Muse is. And that actually opens up a lot of really interesting opportunities. Now, I think this was always an element of the show, but it didn't fit tonally with what they were trying to do. I think what they were trying to do was essentially do a very like, you remember Daredevil and She-Hulk, where it's just like a little bit more poppy, a little bit more happy, a little bit more smiley, right? I think they wanted to strike that tone and like, you know, Matt is, well, technically he was still going to be depressed in the original version of the show, but I think the tone was going to be lighter, like people trying to cheer him up. Generally speaking, the environment was going to be positive, and then all of a sudden, like, Muse was going to show up, be the super dark element of the show. That's no longer the case. I think the show is going to be basically a free fall for Matt Murdock, and I think it's going to be super dark. I still think Foggy might die. Maybe not permanently, though. I've heard some interesting things about how they might handle that. But that's the report, right? Screen testing really well. That's great. In a world in which we have to talk about the horrible screen tests for Captain America, Brave New World over like a year and a half, we now have the ability to talk about how the new screen tests for Daredevil Born Again are awesome. It's going to be even darker than the tone you got on Netflix. I think that's awesome as well. I guess the only question I have, my only like kind of little gripe here, is why are they able to fix Daredevil and they've been unable to fix Captain America, you know, Agatha? I mean, to a degree it's better, but still feels kind of weak. What's the difference? I mean, they did a lot of reshoots on the Marvels. They reshot the Marvels so much that the director left. You remember? She literally left. She went and worked on our other projects. Said, you guys can handle this shit because of all the reshoots. So why are they able to fix Daredevil and yet seemingly unable to fix some of these other things? I think I know why, but I'm curious as to what you guys think. Does anybody have an answer, an explanation? Why can they fix this one, and yet they've been unable to fix so many of the other things? Nobody cares about those characters? I think there might be something to that. Yeah, I think that there might be something to that. But what does that mean then? I just watched the Marvels and forgot about the drama. Did you like it? They didn't fire almost everybody on Daredevil. That's the difference. They fired a lot of people, but I think it was like writers. Deadpool 3 showed there's an audience for darker, grittier, violent stories, and it's all in the writing. Interesting. Do you see the Variety article story on Billy? No, but that's interesting. We'll talk about that in a second. I think it's two things. Number one, Daredevil has an established theme, and the Netflix show made it easy for them to be like, that's what works for this character. Let's just do that. Okay? So that's, you know, your number one reason, and that's pretty obvious. But I think the other thing here is it's an ill-conceived idea with a lot of these other things. So Sam Wilson is Captain America. I'm sorry. I continue to believe that's probably a bad idea on their part. I don't even fully understand why they did it. I don't even understand why they did it in comics, right? But the thing is, it just feels hollow. Like, there's no real great stories there. There's no really interesting element to it. It feels hollow. Like, I think when a lot of these decisions are made and they're not creatively motivated, there can be all sorts of reasons why, right? I mean, it's Hollywood. It's big mass media. Studios, money, investment. I get it. There's all these different considerations. But if it doesn't come from an organic storytelling perspective, it basically runs the risk of feeling very hollow. I feel bad for Anthony Mackie because I think what they've done to him, although maybe with the best intentions, has been to completely marginalize his character and really just make it feel lesser than. I mean, that show is horrible, dude. Falcon and the Winter Soldier is fucking horrible. There's aspects of it that are good. The show's horrible. Why is the show horrible? Well, because they had to remake the whole goddamn thing because it was pandemic productions. They were going to have a pandemic in it. And then they gut the show. And then they fill it with fluff. It feels so empty. It feels so unearned. It feels so goobly glob. And I feel like that's happening again with Captain America. Like, bro, are we really going to give a shit about him as Cap moving forward? What project is supposed to make me do that? It all feels like preamble to the shit we actually want to get into, and that's all the Secret Wars stuff, the Doctor Doom stuff. Like, being completely honest with you, Monica Rambeau is more interesting than Sam Wilson as Captain America. Like, I'm just telling you. Like, that's what it is. So, I think with Daredevil, right, it could be the case that they know the character is really popular because, I mean, that's obvious. The show was really popular. So they're able to kind of like find direction and also realize that there's relevance. And I think some of these other things are just like ill-conceived, bro. Like, this is just not a great idea. Like, the Agatha show is just baseline, not a great idea. The Marvels, not a great idea. Captain America 4, we'll see. The jury's out. But according to the test screenings, probably not a great idea. You know? And so if I were Marvel, right, I would want to take a look at this and understand why it worked with Daredevil and why it's not working with other characters. I think you could throw as much money as you have at a thing, and God knows they are literally doing that with Captain America 4. And it just might not fix an ill-conceived idea. Does that make sense? So, you know, I wanted to talk about this because A, I'm very excited for Daredevil. And B, it shows that they can completely rework things and seemingly succeed, right? It's too early, but it's positive screenings. And also, I just want to put a spotlight on some of these other things that I think are just ill-conceived, dude. And I'm going to go see this shit. I'm going to see Captain America 4. I hope it's good. I hope Mackie's good. But I mean, I have a hard time getting excited for it, especially when the screenings the word from the screenings is that it's just terrible. So we'll see. Maybe once we get to, Fantastic Four, I think we're in a whole new world. And once we get to Fantastic Four, and then boom, we're into Secret or Doomsday, and then boom, we're into Spider-Man 4. We're in a whole new world. A whole new world. But for now, we're still kind of eating some stuff that they made in that old kitchen. And I think every bit that we eat that doesn't sit right with us, that sort of turns the stomach, is a negative towards Marvel overall at a brand. Basically, they probably should have canceled some of this shit. And technically, there's still time. Kevin, cancel Captain America 4. I know. They'll never do it. It's crazy. That's insane, right? Oh, my God, they can't do it. Cancel Captain America 4. That's my advice. Yeah. Would love to know what you guys think. C Black says, you can use Mackie as Cap until the end of the saga. Push the movie back and never release it. Yeah, that's probably what I would do. That's what I would do. What are we crying about today? Oh, the usual. Billy. Okay, where's this Billy news? Can somebody link me? Can somebody link it into the chat? Hey, they canceled Batgirl and that shit was finished too. It can happen. Yeah, no, totally. I mean, that's literally what they should do. They cancel it. It's a $300 million movie. Well, it's actually probably closer to $450 million at this point. Because of all the reshoots. These projects are dropping before Blade. I mean, that's true. That's true. Where's this Billy news? Do I have to look it up myself? Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Let's see here. Billy Maximoff. Come on, guys. I don't see an article. Am I missing something here? Is it Variety, you said? I don't see any articles at all. I think you guys lied to me. I don't see no blah, 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 blah. I think you're pulling my leg. It's a clip? What do you mean? What the hell's happening here? What the hell? What the hell? Yeah, I don't see it. Legitimately. Was it Deadline? You guys just lying to me? Man, you guys are crazy, man. Ain't no Billy Maximoff news. Marvel confirmed it's Billy Maximoff and not Kaplan? Oh no. Should I ruin that for you? Or should I let you believe that's real? I'm lying to you, Josh. Happy Thanksgiving to all Canadians. Chuck, we don't do that here. We don't do that here, okay? We respect so many people. And, we respect so many nations. Canada is not one of them. Sorry, Ryan Reynolds. Your country's us. Do you think they will tease Jessica Jones in Daredevil Born Again? Yeah, I do. Josh, is Lantern's going to be better than Cap 4? Yeah, I think so. Oh my God, it's on the official account. Jeez, you guys are killing me. Okay, couple of different other things. Last couple of bits of news here, and then I'll see if Rob is available, and I'll try to give him a call. Okay, number one. Alex Perez recently said that Monica and Brie Larson are going to have a big role in Avengers Doomsday. Does anybody know why that's so cool and significant? Anybody? Bueller? Anybody? The Singularity? Yeah, crossing over units because of the X-Men. Lego Scarlet Witch, thank you. Let's go. I think this is just another hint that the Avengers versus X-Men thing is going to happen in Doomsday. Okay. By the way, I actually have a big Spider-Man's videos coming out for you later today, going over some of the new rumors about Spider-Man 4, and this includes very interesting information about Battle World. Like, bro, you gotta check this video out. It's actually wild, and I think we have a pretty good idea of what Battle World is going to look like right now, which is crazy. Ryan, appreciate that. Give me 1 second, and I'll look at your chat, bud. But yeah, with Carol and Monica being important to Doomsday, it also lines up with stuff Alex has said about Avengers vs. X-Men and the X-Men fighting the Avengers in that movie. So perhaps they'll be fighting for survival or something like that. So yeah, I think that's kind of exciting. Another little bit here was an MCU video game. Let me ask you guys about this. Because I was thinking about this. I was like, an MCU video game. First off, it's not the first MCU video game. There were a lot of video games done for like the Phase 1 movies, which were ass. They were terrible, and they were just like gimmick games, sort of meant to just work alongside a movie and promote it. I think they did one for the first Avenger. I think they did one for Iron Man. They're pretty bad. Okay. So this I don't think is that, right? This is like years later. This is video games. I think now, you know, there's, first of all, it's a huge market. It's bigger than movies for sure. But also the genre has, you know, spread out, grown out to more people, more groups. Older people are playing more video games. Younger people are playing more video games. Video games are huge. Bob Iger just figured out how many people were doing that, and he put a big investment into Epic, right? So I assume this would be a well-produced game. Let's call it AAA or whatever, even though that thing kind of makes me cringe a little bit. So we're probably talking about a AAA game that's set inside the MCU. Number one, do we want this? Number two, what could it be? One of the things that's kind of cool about video games is the ability for them to expand in story and also have like a unique story, right? So like whether it's like the old school BioWare games or even new BioWare games, I would imagine, you know, decisions you make the game and the plot and the story different. People want freedom of choice. There's a draw to like open world games. Well, if you set it inside the MCU, there's like a lot of constriction there, right? Because of the canon. So I was like, would I really enjoy playing a video game set in the MCU? I'm not even sure that that's an obvious thing that I would enjoy. And then I was trying to think, like, what game? What game could it be, right? Because, like, dude, look, think about it. Marvel Snap, it's all multiversal and crazy, and it's super fun. Marvel Rivals is all multiversal, Doom 2099 versus regular Doctor Doom, and that's sick as hell. What could an MCU game be that would be fun, add to the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Like, I guess what I'm saying is, like, how could you make that game in a way that enhanced your experience as a fan of Marvel and was enjoyable on its own as a game? I'm just not sure, man. I am not sure. What do you guys think? I would if it's at the level of Spider-Man. But how could you even do a game like that in the MCU? It would have to be, like, here's what it would have to be. It would have to be a story that's canon, but outside of the main movies and shows. Unless they go crazy and it's like Secret Wars and then like all bets are off and you could do something like on Battle World or something like that. Like, that would be cool. I heard this and I was like, I mean, I understand the idea. I don't see how it's good. Do you know what I mean? Like, I legitimately, like, I don't know how you would make that good. So I don't even know if that's a thing you should do. Why does it have to be canon? If it's not canon, then you take away from the oomph that is added by it being an MCU video game. If it's not canon, then that's fine. There's plenty of non-canon Marvel games that are sick as hell. But if you want to make an MCU video game or a video game that's set in the MCU, it has to be canon. Otherwise, it's not set in the MCU, right? By its definition. It has to be canon. The reboot's kind of an interesting idea. So now that could be cool. Now, walk with me on this. That's actually a good idea. Oh, dude, if this is what they do, oh my God. If this is what they do, I'm all in. Okay? I actually just had a brilliant idea. One of the questions we're all going to have soft rebooted is, what's the canon here? Because there are things that happen in the Infinity Saga. There are things that happen in other universes. What's the canon of this new MCU? Who was there in the Battle of New York? Bro, what if you go through the new canon that further explores like what it actually looked like? Because there could be new people in the Battle of New York. Now that's an idea. By the way, Marvel, if you're watching, do that. Whatever you were going to do, fuck that. Do this instead. Oh, man, dude, I love it when I have an idea like this, and it definitely has nothing to do with chat, and you guys did not have this idea, and I had it. Wow. Now that is an idea. Now that could be pretty cool. Oh, shit, man. All right. Now we're cooking. No, legitimately, that could be actually really cool. Oh, dude, I just went from hating on this the whole goddamn... Oh, this is cool. That could be cool. Look, if it's not that, I still don't like it. If it is that, brilliant idea. Wow. Who would I add to the Battle of New York? Easy. Fantastic. Dude, you got it. Fantastic Four, Spider-Man. Obvious choices. Throw some X-Men in there, too. So a what-if game, basically? Yeah, but it's not a what-if at this point. And God of Stories Loki could be your narrator. Navigate it through it. Oh, bro. That could be high. That could be good. I like that. Test, test, test. Hello? Nope. Can't see it. You're banned. Nope. Can't see it. You're banned. Okay. One last thing we got to talk about here. Check this shit out. No, I'm not ignoring you. Why do you feel like that? Rob, I'm going to call you. Give me just a couple minutes. Just 2 minutes. 2 minutes and I'm going to call you. My phone's charging right now. And also, you should know, I don't really check my phone like that. I'm pretty terrible at it. Yeah, Rob, you're seen. Everybody sees you. Okay, real quick. Let's go over this real quick and then we'll call Rob. Too late! I'm eating breakfast! Oh, well, I fucked that up. What about after breakfast? Also, what are you eating? I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess what Rob is eating. You're eating a smoked salmon Lux breakfast sandwich on a raisin bagel. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. That's pretty good. That's pretty good prediction. That's pretty good. No way, bro's eating breakfast at 1 p.m. That's actually fair, Rob. What the hell are you eating breakfast for at 1 p.m.? Avocado toast? That sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty good. That's oddly specific. It is, isn't it? Yeah. Some cream cheese on there. Turkey and egg bites, brown rice, Greek yogurt with strawberries and chia seed. That sounds pretty good. Turkey, though. And what is egg bites? What the hell? Okay. So let's talk about this Invincible thing here. Invincible Season 3 trailer in November. That's cool. I'm excited for that. Invincible 3 release date is February 6th, 2025. Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Invincible Season 3 will have no mid-season breaks. Thank God. Ladies and gentlemen, we are officially back. So, I like this, okay? And I'm going to give props to Invincible. Now, am I going to have to talk a little bit of shit because I talked shit on the second season? Yes, but let's not lose sight of the fact that I'm applauding this decision, and I think it's good, and maybe Invincible can get back to where it was because that second season didn't chart on Nielsen at all. Huge L going from season 1 into season 2. So, trailer in November. Beautiful. Beautiful. Very excited for it. However, please, for the love of God, do not do one of those bullshit ass trailers like you did for the first trailer of the second season of Invincible. By the way, I hope people over there are understanding that although you think it's funny and you think it's cheeky, a lot of us fans are like, what the fuck? People didn't like that shit, man. Terrible first trailer. So hopefully we got an actual trailer that shows off some badass stuff. Release date February 6, 2025. W. Not making us wait 3 goddamn years for the next season is a massive W. It's close. February 6th. That's close, man. I'm excited about that. No mid-season break. I mean, that should be a no-brainer. That was one of the worst things they've ever done. Such a stupid idea. That would be like leveraging your massive, biggest worldwide 4-quadrant brand association possible as Spider-Man to like make a non-alcoholic beer called Beero, right? It's a very, very bad idea. So it's a W that they're not doing that. Invincible is great. The comics are great. I still think the show is great, despite last season being just generally weaker and also having so many stupid, silly ideas and just the break and the delay and all that, right? So the only other thing I want to hear about Invincible that would push it over the top for me is a not 3 a.m. release time. The first season did not do that. And then randomly in the second season, Amazon was like, yeah, we don't give a shit about you, so we'll release you at 3 in the morning. Terrible. Terrible. So hopefully they release it the night before, as they have been doing with a lot of their other shows. I believe The Boys does that, right? It drops technically at like 9 p.m. or something like that. So if they can just fit that piece into it as well, Invincible Season 3 could blow up. Invincible Season 3 could get right back to business, and I don't think the fall off in Season 2 was so bad that people won't show up for 3. They need to build hype properly. Hopefully this trailer's great, and you know, if they have a good release time and the first couple episodes pop, you can see that show really taking off. So good news for Invincible, and good news for us fans. Okay. All right, let me catch up on some of these chats here. We can kind of just hang out for a little bit. We'll see if Rob wants to come on. If not, we could try to get Rob on a different one. I should have hit Rob up and been like, do you want to do this before or after I go over the news? Either way, we will figure it out. Oh my God, this is so crazy to me. I can't believe this. The 4th episode of The Penguin currently has a 9.7 rating on IMDb, making it one of the highest rated TV episodes ever. How? How? Bro. I don't drink beer. Josh is the villain of his own story? Oh my God. I was born in the outlier, Josh. No! Rumor is Clayface is coming? No way. Really? I bet in the second Batman movie, right? They're going to be like, Pattinson, like, you didn't know any of the shit was going down with, like, Penguin and the Falcons and the Cerrones and all that stuff. Like, dude, where were you at, Batman? And Batman would be like, I was, you know, watching. I had them all under observation, but the shit was so boring. I just kept falling asleep. And then, you know, I wouldn't even be out on regular ass patrol because shit was so boring. I mean, maybe that's why they're doing this. Maybe they're trying to set up a canon reason as to why Battinson couldn't actually like keep tabs on all this stuff. Maybe I need to give him a little bit more credit. Okay. I just saw that on Twitter and I was like, look, I'm not even like, I can't participate on Twitter anymore, right? Because I'm banned. Oh, shit. Rob's ready. All right, guys. I'll catch up on these chats in just a second, but let's get Rob in here. Because I want to talk about this RDJ thing, man. Joe Locke has become Wiccan. Oh, okay. That's the... Oh, my God. I didn't even have Twitch open this morning. I'm so sorry. Twitch, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Twitch. All right, let's hit this man up. Rob? Can you hear me, brother? Might be your AirPods or whatever again. Yeah, I had the flannel going for a second, Spartan, and then it got too hot in here, man. It probably switched your audio device, Rob, so you might have to switch back to the old thingies. While you're doing that, let me see what this article was that they shared. And I should probably get Twitch pulled up, too. I'm sorry, Twitch! Joe Locke. The way they use their magic is similar. It's so nice. Feel like I'm breathing. Big secret. I'm in the UK. Episode drops at 2 a.m. Okay, so he learned from Olsen's hand gestures. In the script, it was written as, with a familiar-looking hand gesture, teen swipes Agatha off the road. Yeah. That's the article? That's what you guys were hyped up about? Rob! I don't know, guys. Might maybe have some technical difficulties. We'll see if we can get Rob in here, but... Remember, it did this before, Rob. Do you remember what happened last time? I'm not really sure. I'm sure there's a lot of hand gestures when it comes to Elizabeth Olsen. Yeah, for sure. I've got one. That's a heart. It's a heart I made. It's a heart. No, not that. Heart. It's a heart. Did you see the Absolute Batman issue sold for $70K? So I think that's the original artwork of the cover, right? Of Nick's cover.
Bruh.
Hey, we got him. What's up?
Bro, man. Discord with the internet problems. Okay, chat. I want you guys to know Josh put me on hold for the whole chat. And he was ignoring me too.
What? What are you talking about? That's not true,
Yeah,
Rob. You know what, though? I should have hit you up before I went live. I actually meant to. I was like, yeah, I got to hit him up and see if he wants to. You want to go first? You want to go second?
Yeah, I meant to do a lot of things, Josh. I meant to invest in Bitcoin before it blew up.
True.
But I didn't.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. So how are you, man?
I feel abandoned. I feel abandoned.
Well, you should. You're here now. That breakfast sounded pretty good, too.
Dude, I've been doing like 5x5. And it's weird because like my weight has skyrocketed, but I've gone down in size.
Interesting.
And so I went to go see my doctor, and I was like, dude, I don't know what's going on. He was like, honestly, bro, he's like, you're putting on muscle faster than you're burning fat.
Yeah,
and he's
that
like,
happens.
so it'll take a little while.
Yeah.
He's like, it'll come down. He's like, but when it does, he's like, you're gonna be enormous.
So you're lifting.
Like,
you're by 5x5. You mean you're lifting heavy sets, right? Like 5 reps.
Yeah. So right now my bench press is at like 180, I think.
Okay,
and
nice.
my squat is around 3. But the goal is to get my bench press to 225 and get my squat to about 400. And then I'm going to shift out of 5x5, and then I'm going to go to like 3x10s or 3x12s.
Okay.
And see if I can maintain the weight. I might have to bring it down a little bit, but
Yeah.
there's this really, really cool workout that I want to work my way up to called Big Beyond Belief, which I don't want to be that. Like, I don't want to be like Jay Cutler huge.
Yeah.
But
it's Jay
like you work
Cutler.
out
I
6
love
days a
Jay
week.
Cutler, man.
I don't. Dude, that guy is enormous. Like it's
Well,
crazy
dude, but
how
he's
huge that
one
guy
of the
is.
guys. He's one of the only guys from that school that still looks good.
That's fair.
Like,
That's
have you
fair.
seen him
Yeah,
these
the old,
days? Like I don't know what it was. I think he obviously didn't train as hard as like Coleman and some of those guys, and I think he just did a lot of maintaining, maybe.
I mean, last I saw, he was gigantic.
Oh, he's huge, but you look at him now compared to like those old magazines when we were buying all the creatine and shit, like when we were younger, dude. You look at it, you look at Jay Cutler back then, that was a enormous motherfucker. Like, holy
Oh
shit.
yeah, he looks more normal now.
Yeah.
Yeah, back then he was gigantic.
He was
like,
a
it was
brick, dude. Like, oh my god.
yeah, man, it was crazy. Like, dude was an absolute unit.
Yeah.
But no, with Big Beyond Belief, you work out 3 times a week. So like your first like Monday and Tuesday are like those are endurance, and then Wednesday and Thursday is a balance, and then Friday and Saturday is mass. So
Okay,
you're kind of
great.
hitting
Great,
like all
great.
3 things over the course of the week. But yeah,
You have a trainer, or you just kind of doing it on your own?
yeah, just doing it on my own.
Nice. Well, that's cool.
I'm my own trainer.
There you go. I love it. That's great. Good for you,
Yeah,
brother.
dude. Okay,
let's-
chat.
yeah,
since,
what's up?
Since Josh has smoothed everything over, Josh has smoothed it all over.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, what's up? Oh, you want to talk about the Robert Downey Jr. thing?
Yes. So, I
Yeah,
hit you
I
up
forgot
over the
about that.
weekend. Yeah. There was, you were tweeting. You had a couple big tweets that blew up on this thing, which, by the way, I got banned on Twitter, but I can still creep and see, when you get in trouble.
Wait, you got banned? How'd you get banned on Twitter?
I was streaming on Thursday, and we were watching Deadpool and Wolverine, and they insta-banned my account on Twitter for counterfeit. I was doing something with counterfeit, this, that, second, and third, right? And I was like, okay, whatever. So, yeah, they banned me.
Damn, they don't ban anybody.
Bro, that's what I'm telling you.
crazy.
They don't ban anybody, bro. You can have literally your butthole hanging out just trying to sell OnlyFans. You know what I mean? Like, they don't ban anybody. And I get a one-time strike perma ban, and they said they won't relinquish it. Now, I emailed them back, and I was kind of a dick about it, so it's probably never going to get overturned. But
Bro,
yeah,
you get more with sugar than you do with shit, Josh.
that's true. Yeah, that's true. I lost it though, man. I lost it because of what you were saying. I was like, this is crazy. Like,
Holy
dude,
cow.
yeah, so I'm gone off Twitter. That's why you haven't seen me. But
I was
anyway,
wondering what happened to you on Twitter. I was like, either
Yeah.
he's taking a break or something.
Yeah.
Damn.
so you had a couple of your tweets that some scoopers kind of latched onto because this was all about Robert Downey Jr. and Pedro Pascal Reed Richards. And I've been following this. I think I've done like 2 videos and talked about it on stream because it's obviously a big topic. But like some reports came out that they're not going to have a lot of interaction during the Fantastic Four movie. And then you had a couple tweets that popped off. The one was you were like, the Fantastic Four's arch nemesis is not going to be in their movie. Like, LOL. And then Daniel RPK like quote tweeted you and was talking about how because he's going to be an Avengers villain, he's not only going to not be in the Fantastic Four movie, but he's likely to not be involved in the Fantastic Four after Secret Wars. So it's not like Doom is going to be like the Thanos level threat and then just still be around in the MCU after that. And a lot of people freaking out about this, Rob. So yeah, I wanted to talk to you about it and just kind of get your feelings on it. And what do you think? What do you think about this situation?
That's stupid. Okay, so here's the thing. Yeah, it's like MCU, that's stupid, and you're stupid for doing it.
There we go.
Yeah, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I mean, from what I could tell, Avengers Doomsday is just going to be a Doctor Doom origin film.
Yeah, kind of seems that way. Yeah.
But if that's true, okay. I don't know how people would feel about it. Because there's a different. I mean, like there are a lot of things, right? People are like, I want like a real version, like the comic book accurate version of Wolverine. Then they get it in Deadpool 2, and they're like,
Yeah.
Like John Campea made a video, or Campea made a video about that, right? Where like I had made this offhanded remark in a video, and he was like, I mean, Rob was 100% right. Like that's people don't actually want it. They wanted it in their heads until they saw it, then they realized they didn't want it. And it's like, gosh golly, fan base. It's almost like you don't know what you want, so we'll just make the decision for you. But yeah, no, it's one of these things where, I mean, why not just pull a red herring, right? I mean, it was obvious from the word go when they announced Robert Downey Jr. that he was not going to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe long term because they can't afford to pay him like $100 million every movie that he's in.
Right. Yep.
Right. Like that's never going to happen.
Yep.
I still say, I mean, as much as I love the idea initially, I still say that like, I think RDJ as Doom is going to be cool, and it'll be cool to see him back. I'm not upset about it, but I do still think that it was not the best decision to make.
Sure.
But I think that not having Doctor Doom, just do a red herring, man. Just literally have RDJ as Doctor Doom, and just have it be like a Tony Stark variant that became Doctor Doom. And then, like, you know, at the end of Doomsday or something like that, he just gets killed by like the real Doctor Doom.
Right. So let's focus on that, because I think that's you're not alone in that thinking, right? But the evidence that's out there, and we really don't have a lot of evidence. There's been a couple of things that RDJ himself said. I think there was a spread in Vanity Fair like a month ago. He said a couple of things. You've got the Russo brother comments. That's pretty much it. Everything else is like rumor and scoopers and stuff like that. And look, I play in that mud, and I know some are reliable, some are not. But according to the actual people, Kevin Feige believes and he thinks of RDJ Doctor Doom as the definitive Doctor Doom. So more and more evidence is suggesting that they want to do Victor. Like, they're not doing Tony Stark as becoming Doom. They're doing Doctor Doom, right? And I guess I'm curious as to like what do you think of that? Because like I have some thoughts and everything like that. But yeah, so like, what do you think of that? Because on the one hand, it's like that's good, right? On the other hand, it brings up problems.
No, so I will rarely ever say this because 99% of the time I love what he does. Kevin Feige's wrong. RDJ Doctor Doom is not Doctor Doom for a variety of different reasons. Number one, when I think of Doctor Doom, I think of a guy who's Doctor Doom spans the gamut, right? The best statement on the nature of Doom came during the Council of Reeds. When Reed Richards met the Council of Reeds in Hickman's Avengers: The New Avengers, when they showed him. Okay, do you remember Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four rather?
Oh yeah.
When Reed meets the Council of Reeds.
Yep.
Okay, so like they show him like the whole universes.
Well, they show him the farm first, and then they show him
that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So he wanted to show him the light, and then he was like, "Now let's show you the dark side." And then they have
exactly
right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's like, "We wanted to show you that so you can understand what we do here." And like every version of Doctor Doom, he becomes some kind of like crazy powerful guy. They lobotomize, and they stick him down below the Citadel, right? And so it's just like, okay, like Doctor Doom spans the gamut as a villain for anybody, because Doctor Doom can appear at any point in time, right, for any reason. And sometimes it's just building things up into larger things, and sometimes it's just one-off stuff that seems insignificant. But Doctor Doom is a credible threat to the Marvel Universe as a whole. So in that way, I can understand Kevin Feige's argument in saying that Doctor Doom is an Avengers-level threat, because he is.
He is.
9 times out of 10, he deals with the Fantastic Four, but Doctor Doom is a threat to the whole Marvel Universe.
Yep.
But that being said, whoever they bring in for Doctor Doom has to have longevity. Now, there is a difference between Kevin Feige saying, like, I see Robert Downey Jr. as like the true Doctor Doom, right? It's how I perceive him. But it's not going to be that way. It's just how I see him, right? In the same way that people say, like, Chris Evans is the Captain America. Well, he was for a time.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Right, like now we have a new Captain America, so get on board or get off the train, right? That kind of thing. So it's like I'm a fan of him. Is more or less what he's saying. It could be what he's saying when he says that. But number one, Doctor Doom having a cameo in the Fantastic Four film makes no sense. Like what I would have done is I would have just like the Fantastic Four film picks up however it is that it picks up. I don't know, an origin story, who knows? But like if it doesn't pick up as like a true origin, and it's just the Fantastic Four have just always been here, and they've been superheroes for a long time because we don't need an origin story for characters in the public consciousness. Then Doctor Doom's just already there, right? Like Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom is just there, and like they've been fighting for a while, and we literally just kind of pick up in the middle of everything. And then when whatever happens with the Fantastic Four happens, that like presumably leads them out into the multiverse, that Doctor Doom sees it as a chance to like gain power.
Yes.
Right? Like Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom does, right? He sees it as a chance to gain power, and then he goes for it. And then in Avengers Doomsday, like the whole movie follows him, right? The whole of Avengers Doomsday follows Robert Downey Jr., and it's the biggest ruse known to man, because it's just like, yeah, he's killing all the Kangs, all that kind of stuff, you know, what have you. And then like at the end, he dies. And like the real Doctor Doom, played by Mads Mikkelsen or Cillian Murphy or whoever steps up and is like Doom will not entertain pretenders, right? You do that thing with the Ultimate Doom, right? That picture, like that super famous shot from Ultimate Doctor Doom, where he's like, now and forevermore, it will always be Doom pulling the strings, right? Like that scene, right? And it's like, holy cow, we have like a real Doctor Doom, right? And because because it's like, I am Victor, like I am that guy. But however it is that they end up spinning it, like obviously they're going to Christ on Infinite Earths, the multiverse. I've been saying it over and over and over and over again, right? All the characters who survived the collapse of the multiverse going into whatever's new, whatever comes next, is going to be, they're going to be the ones they pick, right? So Pedro Pascal, Fantastic Four, the idea of Wolverine and Deadpool and whatever team they have, and you know, so on and so forth. So whatever Doctor Doom they have next is going to have to be the legitimate Doctor Doom, the one for the foreseeable future.
But doesn't that make sense as to why they're not going to do it then? Because, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but every piece of evidence that we have coming out from them says that's not what they're going to do. That's like why this is a hot button topic, is because like Daniel's basically saying that the problem with the thinking you have is that they are so hell-bent on making him the actual victor that they're not going to do what you're saying, basically. You know what I mean?
No, and I get what Daniel was saying.
Yeah.
And I'm not disagreeing with Daniel RPK. I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
Right. What I'm saying is this. Do you remember that scene from Jurassic Park Jurassic Park 2, when what's his name? The guy who was like Life Finds a Way, Malcolm. When Ian Malcolm is talking to like the old guy with the beard. Right? And the old dude with the beard, he's like, you know, well, we're not making the same mistakes that we made last time. And Ian Malcolm is like, yeah, you're making all new ones. Like that's what this is.
Yeah.
That's literally what this is, right? Like I think given everything that's happening with the multiverse saga, and they're ready to just move on. They're like, okay, so guys, fast track Secret Wars, boom, reboot, let's get into it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the problem with that is you take what's already a rough and tumble situation, not the worst. I don't think the multiverse saga is as bad as people make it out to be. But you take what is already a kind of disheveled, disorganized, chaotic saga.
Yeah.
And then you make it worse in an attempt to get to the finish line. And so there's, you know, I just so you know, I disagree. I disagree, and I think it's like it's good. Like it's good to have these disagreements. It's good to see it differently, because I frankly see a scenario in which they can make him the definitive victor, and I'm starting to kind of pull some threads together as like how this could be happening. And do you know like my big theory about how RDJ Iron Man was actually Victor the whole time? Have I talked to you about that, Rob? No, you never told me about that.
Okay, so basically I have an idea, and by the way, I have a new train of thought on this as well, just due to this whole conversation, because after I saw, your tweets and a lot of the discussion, because remember, I told you our Discord was like freaking out about it and people were like really upset. And I think it's okay to be passionate about this stuff. And I love Victor Von Doom, so I'm really passionate about this too, right? But I think if you think about some of the things they are saying, right? And you think about the Russos saying, we want to get Doom right. You think about Feige saying like, no, we want to get Victor Von Doom right. And the fact that they see Robert Downey Jr. as Victor, I think the only way that makes sense with what they've already established is that in the sacred timeline, there was a boy who was adopted by the Starks after a miscarriage and was given the name of Anthony Stark, but that kid was Victor Von Doom. Okay. And so the whole time that we watched Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man throughout the Infinity Saga, he's a Victor Von Doom that's adopted and given the life of Stark, right?
That's just the story of Arno, Josh.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting.
That's just Dylan's Iron Man run.
Well, but see, that's why. But that's why it works. And by the way, I've actually heard that they had some stuff with Arno planned too that might have been similar, but it just recontextualizes like the whole thing, right? But I actually have an idea even beyond that that could make it make sense. Now, I do agree with you. Like, here's I think the one place that we agree. I think they should change the Fantastic Four movie to have a lot more Doctor Doom. Like, I just don't see how that's going to go well, right? Like, setting that up, doing the whole Galactus. Now, I have a couple theories as to how it could work. But, like, if Doom's not really involved, it's going to be really hard to, like, set him up properly with a Fantastic Four movie. And there's all this, you know, there's like a lot of people want the Reed and Doom thing, especially because I think of Hickman's Secret Wars and how that ends. And you're hearing that they will have some interactions and that they will have a relationship. But essentially, Doom goes. He must leave or go study the Beyonders or like go to do something, right? So I'm beginning to think that Victor might realize that not only in the Prime universe, 616, not only was he adopted as a Stark, but that life was chosen for him, right? So we know that according to Loki, He Who Remains ended the multiversal war and then sets up the TVA. And the TVA essentially polices the sacred timeline to keep it the way that it is. And there's always been like theories about how maybe the mutants themselves aren't in 616 because He Who Remains just wanted to delay that and thought they'd be too dangerous or something like that, right? And that could be the same thing with Doctor Doom. So I think there's a possibility that RDJ as Doctor Doom, he begins to realize a truth about the entire multiverse and that everybody's being manipulated and things are purposely different than the way that they were supposed to be. And he views that as like a very personal affront, right? Because as far as we know, the only thing we really know about RDJ Doom's motivation is that he wants to eliminate the multiverse and he wants to just control a singular universe. Like that is apparently at the core of his motivation as a character. And they're trying to set him up in this sort of Thanos-esque way, right? Where if you think about Thanos sees a universal problem that nobody else sees. He's like, this will lead to the destruction of everything unless I correct the universe. And so his entire motivation, which is completely different than comic book Thanos, like so different than comic book Thanos. Thanos in the MCU is an at least front-facing altruistic character. He wants to do the right thing. He sees that nobody else has the will to do it. So I think what they might be cooking up with RDJ as Doom is essentially we might get to see the traditional version of Victor with Reed in a universe that maybe no longer exists and was a prior version of the cosmos. And so what we're seeing is a Victor who's realizing that and understands that his own history, his own story is manipulated and false. And he wants to like get back to like a purity sake or like, you know, like actually getting his own origin, being the actual Victor Von Doom. I don't know. Some of that's like a little bit out there, but when I hear, you know, that they want to do the definitive Doom, I'm glad. Like, I gotta be honest, I don't want Tony Stark variant Doom. I think that would be the greatest disservice to Victor's character, is if for the first time on the biggest world stage within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in what will likely be, I mean, either way, even if Secret Wars is mid, it's going to be top 5 grossing movie of all time. It's going to be massive, right? So these are the big, you're talking about some of the biggest movies.
It's not going to make more money than Infinity War and Avengers Endgame.
Even if it doesn't, it's still top 5, even if it gets close.
Oh, like, sure. Yeah.
You know, so we're talking about one of the big, these are 2 of the biggest movies in the history of Hollywood, even if they fall short. So to me,
I mean, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Infinity War and Avengers Endgame did as well as it did because people have been foaming at the mouth for 10 years, right? It was literally a decade of us sitting on the edge of our seats, just waiting for the climax, right? Like, of course, those movies were going to do as well as they were going to do. And Josh, I love you to death, man, but that kind of seems over. Like, if I were
it's a little convoluted, yeah.
Yeah, if Feige came to me and said, okay, Rob, you have all the answers, what would you do? I would say, okay, well, the first thing we have to do is like, Doctor Doom is the beginning and the end of the Fantastic Four film. You only see him in the beginning and you only see him in the end. You never see him in the middle. The rest of the movie does with whatever it's doing. I don't know.
Like that, yeah.
Galactus, Silver Surfer, or whatever. You open the movie up with some kind of like an interview with Reed Richards on TV. Right, you know, and it's like, you know, we finally have an exclusive interview with Reed Richards, yada, yada, yada. You know, like, tell us about your most recent conflict with, like, Doctor Doom or something like that. Cool. Reed Richards gives you a 5-minute exposition, if that, and basically tells you who Doctor Doom is. Doctor Doom is a dangerous threat. He's incredibly powerful, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. So that you don't have to give the audience, like, a 30-minute flashback of Doctor Doom's character to understand how dangerous he is. And, like, they show scenes in the fight between the Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom, so you actually get to see RDJ as Doom. And then you get to the end, right? However the movie unfolds, it unfolds, but it leads to the Fantastic Four going into the multiverse. And Doctor Doom sees it as a chance to gain power, right? Where Reed is like, you know, we got to go deal with the Kangs, or maybe the TVA shows up, or whatever it is. But Doctor Doom, watching the Fantastic Four from Latveria, right, realizes like they're going into the multiverse and they're going to deal with the threat of the Kangs alongside all the other superheroes or what have you. But Doom is like, this is my chance to seize power. And so you just repurpose Doctor Doom's time platform from the comics and just turn it into like a multi-dimensional platform, right? Instead of going into time or going back in time, he like travels to other realities. And so like at the end of the movie, right, Reed makes some kind of offhanded remark, you know, where it's like, okay, like, you know, we're going to go save the multiverse or whatever it is. I don't know. Yeah. And Doctor Doom's like, no. Right. And so it's just like literally the movie ends with like Doctor Doom walking into his portal and then cut to black. Right. And so then when you pick up with Avengers Doomsday, it's Doctor Doom from the Fantastic Four's reality killing all the Kangs. Right, like destroying all the Kangs that are out there, right? And it's and basically it's a movie that just follows Doctor Doom, or maybe intersplices between Doctor Doom and whatever other setup they're doing for Avengers Secret Wars. Yeah. But it's like through Doctor Doom, we as the audience get to see like these other realities with the Kangs, right? Where you see that they've wiped out whole universes and different things along those lines. Yeah. And again, if you want to tie in other realities, you can. Right, like maybe Wolverine cannot go back. Like Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, he can't go back to that home universe because the X-Men were killed by Kang. Yeah, he's the reason they're dead.
I think either way that you slice it,
when he bailed.
Well, I think they're going to show. They created that. They'll show the destruction of the multiverse for sure. I don't think it'll be connected to Kang at this point. There's like a lot of reports that like did you catch that comment that Feige made when they asked him about Kang?
Well, yeah, I mean, he said I think he said no comment or something like that.
He was like, I respect you having the gusto to ask that question, and I respect myself to have the gusto to completely ignore it. And I was like, oh my God. So I don't think you're getting any Kang,
they're going to wipe out. No, I mean, the Kangs it's a huge plot thread, right? I mean, you can't just leave it there. Right, you can't just,
I think you can. And I think that's what Loki season 2 is. I think the end of Loki season 2, as absurd as this sounds, because it is silly, at the end of Loki season 2, where they were like, we're keeping an eye on all the Kangs, one of them got out of hand, but they handled it. That's it. That's literally all you're gonna get.
But here's the problem. Here's the problem, Josh. Like you're approaching that from a fan of like the MCU as a whole. A lot of people who watch the movies did not watch Loki seasons 1 or 2.
Yeah, that's fair.
A lot of people didn't watch it. Like, I mean, the numbers are not the same.
Yeah.
Right. So they're going to have to go into this.
Well, I think the
effectively wrapping
finale,
up the plot threads from Kang.
Yeah, as far as I know, because I was looking at Loki season 2, it actually started out like 30% lower. So it started off pretty bad, but I believe the finale charted. So there was a lot of hype around the fucking where he grabs all the timelines. That trended, dude. And so it went from not charting on Nielsen at all to like that finale actually charted quite well. But I think the point is, I think your point's fair. Like a lot of normies are going to be totally lost. But I also think, I think that's what they're going to do, bro. Like, I don't know if it's the right move, but I'm pretty sure they're going to just ignore.
I mean, they might, right? Like Avengers Doomsday may like open up. And in the first 10 minutes, it's Doom killing all the Kangs. And it's like, moving on, right? And then, like, that's it.
Dude, I don't even think you're going to get that, bro. I literally think you are not going to see those characters ever.
I don't know. It's just, it's important to recognize the Marvel Cinematic Universe is making these movies for, like, soccer moms and hockey dads.
Yeah.
Right? People who most likely didn't watch Loki.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you're a huge fan, you're like, I've tracked everything with the MCU. You're in the vocal minority.
Yeah,
of the viewership
that's fair.
of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yeah, I mean, you know, you and I and your fans and everything, you know, like they're in the minority of people, right? So not everybody out there has tracked every single thing they've done. And I think that recognizing that and going forward with that is kind of important. But regardless, I still say Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom. Like, I get why they did it, because there was like an article that came out, I think recently, where FEIGE was like, we brought back RDJ because we wanted to drum up hype. And it's like, okay, then you totally misjudged your audience. Right?
You think so?
Because the reality here, 100%, like 100%.
Okay.
I think it was a gross miscalculation. And I think it backed him into a corner that makes it hard to get out of. Because the issue here is not who's playing Doctor Doom. It's Doctor Doom. People don't care who's playing Doctor Doom. I mean, they could have an upturned mop with a Doctor Doom mask on it and just march it out there at San Diego. And folks would just be like, yeah, Doctor Doom. And people would have actually absolutely freaked out.
I think
right? I mean,
that's probably true.
They could have grabbed an extra.
But let me say this.
They could have grabbed like an extra.
Yeah. I actually agree with you on that. But I would say this. I would say the point is they wouldn't have popped for RDJ's return as hard unless it was Doom. So like, meaning
no, but that's what I'm saying. That's a mistake. That's well,
it might. No, I mean, look, who knows? It could be a mistake. We're about to find out together, right? Because we got the next 3 years. Like, dude, they're all in on this shit. I think that's the overall point. Is they are all in on this shit, bro. They didn't pay this man $100 million to have Mads Mikkelsen come in and be like, "Yo, fuck you, buddy." You know what I mean? Like, that's not happening. So, we're in it, and we're gonna find out. And I think what's interesting about this conversation is like you and I are just on other sides of this, right? Like, cause like, and maybe I could be wrong, you could be wrong, we could both be right. We'll see how the fans react. But I actually am like enthused that I'm hearing this, because I think the other version is like, oh no, it's just evil Iron Man, but he's called himself Dr. Doom. I think that's worse. I think that's worse for Doom, because then you're going to have all these normies, the soccer moms, as you said, right? And they're just going to say, oh, Dr. Doom, you mean evil Tony Stark? And that's going to drive me fucking crazy, right? I want people to be like, oh, Victor Von Doom. I get it now. And I think they can accomplish that with RDJ in these next couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, they could. You know, it's just I'm not looking at the Marvel Cinematic Universe to Secret Wars, right? Like, it's like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, I'm excited for Secret Wars. I'm looking at what comes next. Right? Like, I'm looking at like 5 or 10 years after Secret Wars.
Right.
Right. And the reality here is they cannot afford to pay Robert Downey Jr. what they're paying him to be Dr. Doom even after Secret Wars. Yeah. And I think there was an article that came early, and it was a leak or a scoop or whatever, right? Take it for a grain of salt, you know.
Yeah.
That it's like, well, Robert Downey Jr. is only going to be Dr. Doom until Secret Wars. And then he's not going to be Dr. Doom anymore. And it's like, okay, well, then that means something has to happen. Because, I mean, unless they're going to do some kind of like James Rhodes type thing where they just recast him. Yeah. Right? And like, that's it. You know, like nobody. And again, it also depends on how they handle Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom. True. I mean, Dr. Doom never takes off his mask. Right.
Yeah,
so
he going right. He going now. Yeah. I mean, again, $100 million is like, you know.
let me tell you something, man. Like, if I'm Robert Downey Jr. and the Marvel Cinematic, Kevin Feige and them were like, we're going to pay you $100 million to show up and be Doctor Doom for a couple movies, then I would be like, okay, cool, right? And they're like, you're never going to take your mask off. It's like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
like, cool,
true,
whatever,
true.
man.
You could be like Pedro with the Mandalorian.
Like,
yeah, you don't even have to show up for set.
Exactly.
You can just ADR.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, he's gonna do it from home, right? Just like, set up a camera and I'll stand in front of a black screen and I'll send you the footage when I'm done. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know how they're gonna do it. And so if he never takes off his mask, then at that point it's just Robert Downey Jr. voicing Doctor Doom, and they just marched out to reveal that it's Robert Downey Jr. for no other reason than to just drum up excitement. But that's where I say I think the Marvel Cinematic Universe grossly miscalculated what fans were excited for and box themselves into a corner.
Yeah.
Because if they come out and they say, okay, guys, Doctor Doom is here, fans are like, yeah, and they're like, and it's Robert Downey Jr. They're like, yeah, right? People are super excited.
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, but like, what comes next? Right? If RDJ is not Doctor Doom after Secret Wars, and how does Secret Wars end? And what does the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe look like? And that's why I say they're going to New Earth everything. Yeah. Right? Like, there's going to be multiple Dooms. Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom is going to die because he's going to be a Tony Stark that became Doctor Doom. Yeah. It's the only way to square that circle. Yeah. And then, like, the real Victor Von Doom is going to show up, right? And either destroy Tony Stark or somehow survive, or, right, like, it's going to be one of these things where, I don't know, maybe they just recast him. But it's a weird and wonky situation because
it is.
It leaves, I mean, sure, there's a lot of people who are talking, and a lot of people are just kind of like, yeah, man, I'm really excited to see what comes out of this. But they're not talking in the same way they were talking during the first 10 years.
That's totally fair. Yeah. Right?
Yep. They're talking just kind of like, man, I'm a little uncertain about this, right? I'm a little sure about this, right? It's a different tone to the conversation.
No, I agree. And I think, it's just one of the, I like this conversation a lot because, I mean, I think you're right. And I think it's valid. I don't know that I would characterize it as like they misjudged, but I will say I would throw you a bone and be like, yeah, there's been a lot of negativity towards it. That's just obvious. Like you look at the Reddit, you look at what Daniel's saying, sort of, your tweets as well. There is sort of a more negativity in the fan base than maybe I expected towards this decision. And it's such an interesting thing. I mean, like, just to take a step back, I think this conversation is so much better than a lot of the conversations we were having over the last couple of years, right? Because the last couple of years, the conversation was like, is this shit ever going to get back? And now we're sitting here and we're really interested and we're deep, we're thinking deeply about comics and characters. And I think that's great. Ultimately, though, you could still be right. Like, it could be sort of last minute turn that's ill-conceived and is going to end up being kind of wonky. And I will concede this point, right? If that happens, I will be super pissed, right? Like, dude, I love Doctor Doom. Like, if you're gonna do Doctor Doom and you're saying and you're signaling this is the definitive Doom, you gotta, that means something. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta put your money where your mouth is, and you've got to show me that this is the definitive Doom. I would say to the, reboot, just recast him. That's what I would say is, like, I don't understand this reluctance to recast him. I mean, dude, you can even have the recast Doom. You remember the last panel of Hickman's Secret Wars?
Yeah, when he reveals his face.
Yeah, it's fucking
Doom.
It's
standing.
Doom.
He's like standing out in the tower in Liberia
no mask,
and just like laughing.
No mask, feeling him. It was a great panel. I mean, we both love that story. They're obviously not going to do that story. They're not going to do the greatest comic book story ever told, Rob. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they're going to get there.
No, but it misses. But what they're doing misses the. Okay, here's the problem. If I walk up to a random person, and I hand them the trade paperback for Secret Wars 2000, say I do it to my sister. Right? Yep. She never read a comic once in her life, and I hand her the trade paperback for Secret Wars 2015, and I give her a quick and dirty explanation of the events that led up to it. She's going to think it's the Doctor Doom story, and rightfully so. Right? The story revolves around Doom, God King Doom, yada, 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 so on and so forth. The fight between Doom and Reed at the end of that story was something like 50 years. No, not even, probably like 50 years in the making at Marvel Comics.
Sure.
Right? It was a much grander and bigger version that had a lot more history to it.
Yeah. Agreed. And it's like a 20-year Hickman thing too. right? If you really think about it.
Yeah. If you go back to like 2008, yeah, and you go back and you start with Dark Reign, and then just read forward with the whole Fantastic Four run. Yeah, but like when like at the end of Avengers and New Avengers, for example, like when Captain America and Iron Man fought to the death, right? They literally get crushed by a helicarrier. But like all that is like literally Captain America shows up, right? Like for you guys who never read that story, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like Tony Stark's superior Iron Man, Captain America already lost the super soldier serum. He's been hunting for Tony Stark this whole time because he led the Illuminati, but it's all rooted in a civil war because Captain America's hated him ever since. And like there's this point at the end of the story when Captain America shows up in a War Machine armor, War Machine suit, and Tony thinks it's Rhodes. And like the helmet comes off, it's Captain America, and he's like, "It's time to settle up, Tony." And it's not him saying like, "It's time to settle up for like what you did with the Illuminati and tricking all of us." It's time to settle up since Civil War.
Yep.
And when you look at the fight between Reed Richards and Doctor Doom, it's 50-something years of history between the two of them. And that's why when you get this really amazing moment when they're fighting and Reed Richards asked Doom, he was like, "You know that I could have done a better job with this than you did, don't you?"
Yep.
And Doom, like he's pissed. He grudgingly says yes. And Molecule Man takes away the Beyonder's power from Doom and gives it to Reed, right? And then Reed just resets everything. And between Reed, Molecule Man, and Franklin Richards, they recreate the multiverse, right? So it's like the thing about it is it's not just a fight between Reed and Doom. It's the culmination of decades of history between the two of them.
Yeah.
Because Doctor Doom is the single greatest arch nemesis of Reed Richards. They've been allies, they've been enemies, and everything in between in Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
And so when you come out, when you say like, "Okay, guys, we're doing a Fantastic Four film," it's like, okay, cool. Doctor Doom's going to have a cameo. And we're going to turn him into an Avengers level threat as opposed to a Fantastic Four threat. Yeah. On one hand, I understand what they're saying, but on the other hand, I think it's a huge miscalculation and, to a degree, a lack of understanding of the significance between Doom and Reed Richards.
Yeah.
That if they are going to introduce Doom into the Marvel Cinematic Universe and elevate him to an Avengers level threat, it needs to start with the Fantastic Four. And he needs to gain his motivation and reason for doing that within the Fantastic Four film. And the Fantastic Four film has to be the movie that establishes the significance of Doctor Doom because he's their enemy, their main bad guy, their main competition. And so it all kind of has to stem from there. And that's why I say, right, like what it feels like is they're fast tracking so quickly.
Yes.
And they're in such a rush to get to Secret Wars and get this whole multiversal saga done and over with so they can start the X-Men and the whole mutant era, which, I am excited about.
Yeah.
That they're making all kinds of mistakes along the way and they're not doing things as well as they could.
Okay.
Right. Which is ultimately going to leave a poor taste in people's mouths coming after.
100%. I agree with a lot of what you said. I had to write something down, though, as you were saying it, because it kind of actually, I think the point you were making is actually why they're choosing to lean into his connections to the Avengers characters rather than the FF. So you had said like a lot of these things come from like 50 years of comics or like 20 years of, Hickman story and all that. And that's absolutely true. And it gets paid off and it's huge. Well, we don't have that in the MCU. So what we have is the Infinity Saga mostly, right? So even like phase 4 in that, like there's not really a lot of like strong, I guess what I would call universal divides. Civil War within the Infinity Saga is one of those things, and it sets up Avengers disassembled, which then is why Thanos comes and the Avengers are scattered. Hulk's like, "What do you mean? What happened?" Right? So it's like they built the seeds to like get to that place. We don't have any of that for Doom or the FF. So I think the reason. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, man. I'll tell you why here in a minute, but I want to hear what you're saying.
I think what they're trying to do here is get into connections that the characters themselves will have with Doom and the audience will have with them. So one of the things that came out from this whole conversation was that although Reed and Doom will have some interactions in the Avengers movies, it's going to be more about Tom Holland Spider-Man and Victor, right? And look, they don't have any kind of connection really in comics, right? I think there was one time where Spider-Man was joking and called Dr. Doom Victor, and Doom told Spider-Man that there was a place, a special prison he has in Latveria for people that use his Christian name, and he's like, "Bitch, I'll put you there." Other than that, they literally have like no interactions, right? But
that was hilarious.
It's great. It's great. But in the MCU, Tom Holland obviously has a lot of interactions and emotional baggage when it comes to Tony Stark. So when he sees Victor, and if Victor has the face of Tony, that pulls on strings. That pulls on the audience strings. That pulls on the character of Spider-Man's strings. And if there is a backdoor explanation, which is that, oh, the guy you thought was Iron Man was always Victor, and fuck that guy because he had the, Stark lifestyle, and that's not what Doom's about or whatever, right? They are trying to, in a sense, you're right. They're trying to leapfrog, because the real truth is they should have just established Fantastic Four like 5 years ago with Doom and then build up to this, right? They don't have that option. So I think what they're trying to do is use Victor and the fact that he looks like the hero of the entire Infinity Saga. Like, they are using that to try to get to exactly what you were saying. All the 50 years of experience in comics, we're talking about 20 years, 23 years, right, of Marvel Cinematic Universe relationships. So they want the juice that you're talking about, so they have to like switch it so that it's not Fantastic Four. I think that's the crux of like everything we're talking about ultimately.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. I'm very much a stickler and traditionalist when it comes to like Doom as a character and his relationship to the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Because Doom is the only real villain that the Fantastic Four actually have.
Sure.
I mean, sure, I guess there's guys like Mole Man, whatever, and like Silver Surfer comes around every once in a while. But how many times does Galactus show up to Earth trying to destroy it? He's not a villain of the week type guy, and he never started out that way, right? Like the Galactus saga, right? Like the old Fantastic Four trilogy, like that was a huge deal and set the stage for the cosmic landscape and so on and so forth. But like Galactus is more just a dude who's over there. And if anything, the idea that Galactus acknowledges the Fantastic Four is less about the Fantastic Four being his enemies and more the respect he has for Reed, especially when you consider the trial of Reed Richards' story arc, where Reed Richards was put on trial by the empires of the universe because he saved Galactus. So, so Galactus isn't really an enemy to the Fantastic Four, and neither really is Silver Surfer. I guess maybe initially, but after the Galactus trilogy was over, and then you go into like the original Silver Surfer solo series where he's trapped on Earth learning about life, he stops being an enemy of the Fantastic Four and becomes an ally to the superheroes.
Yep.
You have guys like Mole Man, I guess, right? I mean, unless we're talking about like the Frightful Four and Paste Pot Pete, they don't really have any meaningful villains.
Yeah.
Doctor Doom's really the only one they have. When you look at someone like Spider-Man, he has the entirety of the Sinister Six.
Yeah.
Then he has
which
Mr.
is way
Negative,
more than 6 people,
right?
by the way. Yeah.
Way more than 6. Yeah, over the years, it's like a dozen or so people. I think there was actually a story arc like the Sinister 12. I know Saliver Kamapop would absolutely know the answer to that question.
Nice.
But there's Venom, right? There's Carnage, arguably, depending on the situation, right? There's a whole bunch of different enemies that Spider, like he's literally spoiled for choice when it comes to the people that want to kill him. And so you take like the one meaningful villain the Fantastic Four have, you take that away, you give it to somebody else, then what's the point of the Fantastic Four?
Right.
I mean, are they going to be like, are all the Fantastic Four films of the MCU going forward just going to be Star Trek, right? Where they just go out and explore and occasionally fight Klingons? I mean, is that what it's going to be? I mean, I don't know how you make that. Yeah, how you make that.
No,
work.
I mean, I get it, dude. I get the concerns there because look, I think you're right, and it's like I think the question is, how can we how do we have our cake and eat it too? How can we have?
Well, it's not. It's simple.
Yeah.
It's simple, right? Like, okay, you remember when DC rebooted with the New 52 and then they came back later on and did Rebirth?
Yes.
Okay. There's a story that very few people know about, right? Because for those of you guys who never read, who aren't familiar with like DC Comics and DC Rebirth, when DC rebooted in 2011 with the New 52, they basically got rid of the old Superman from back in the day, right? The one who died at the hands of Doomsday and all that kind of stuff. Reworked him. They made him younger. He was, less experienced.
You're talking about the Grant Morrison shit, which was crazy.
Yeah. Grant Morrison's action comics was phenomenal. Oh my god,
so good. And people looked past it at the time. They were like, "What the fuck? Like he's in his body and shit." Yeah.
Well, because it wasn't like the Superman. It wasn't the main Superman story. And the New 52 run was cool and it had a benefit. But the fact is that like eventually DC launches Rebirth and they ask this exact question: how do we get the old school Superman and the new school Superman together? Right. Well, then Dan Jurgens wrote a story called Superman. Superman, Lois and Clark. And you end up finding out that like the pre New 52 Superman, is actually in the main DC. So you got two Supermen running around.
Yep.
Right.
And
then
merge.
eventually, like, you get the whole, they merge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Mr. Mxyzptlk basically merges them together to become one person. There's this really, really amazing story in Rebirth, which I think it's Action Comics, from Jurgens. It might have been Frank Thierry's Superman, but there's a really, really cool moment when Superman is talking to his son. And his son is effectively the stand-in for like new readers, right? Who never read Superman before.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And like his son is asking him, like, so why were you wearing all black? Right? And like, tell me about when you died at the hands of Doomsday and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And like by way of his son, all those gaps get filled in. So you don't have to go back and read everything from the death of Superman in 1992 all the way up to 2011 with the New 52. Right? You literally get it all summarized for you in the span of like 3 or 4 pages, which is just great writing.
Yeah.
And so if what they were wanting to do was somehow solidify the relationship between Reed Richards and Doctor Doom and establish the danger of Doctor Doom and the fact that he is a credible threat to the entirety of the universe or any universe he's in, there's ample ways to do that by way of having Reed having conversations with his daughter, because we know Franklin and Valeria are going to be in the movie.
Yep.
It's him having conversations with his wife or him doing like an interview. There's any number of ways you can do that in the span of like 5 to 10 minutes.
Sure.
Right. And just go from there. And not even relying on us as like creators to fill in the gaps for what the movie didn't do, but like literally let the movie do that. There's ample number of ways to make that work. But again, to your point about the close relationship, really, I would argue like the father and son relationship between Tony Stark and Peter Parker. That really establishes a whole new thing. But the issue here is that if after Secret Wars, Robert Downey Jr. is not going to be Doctor Doom anymore, then what does the relationship between Doctor Doom and Spider-Man look like post Secret Wars?
That's a good point.
And so Doom would have to be. Yeah, Doom would have to become like a Fantastic Four villain. So I don't know, man. It's weird. It's just one of these weird and wonky situations.
It is, and I think it's a good conversation. I mean, dude, like I think this was really good content for like the last half hour. Like it's just because these are the exact questions that I think a lot of people have, and it's cool to hear two guys that are like really in it, kind of like go back and forth on like the possibilities and. I think that it's a unique time for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think that they absolutely nailed it as far as drumming up interest, maybe more in the soccer mom category than the hardcores, but we were probably going to see Secret Wars anyway, so this could be a smart move, but it's all about execution. And dude, that's what we're dying to know. I mean, that's what this whole conversation is predicated on, the fact that like, we don't know shit. We're hearing little things and we're freaking out, basically. And that's just because we
don't know anything.
Yeah, and that's just because we love Victor Von Doom. You know what I mean? We're like, this fucking character's awesome. I want him to have justice done. You want him to have justice done. And I think we're just kind of confused as to some of the stuff that we're hearing. But I'm hoping they nail it.
I just liken it to Superman having some kind of like a surrogate son, assuming he didn't have Jonathan. And they take Lex Luthor. And instead of him being a villain of Superman, he's a villain of whoever his surrogate son happens to be.
Yeah.
And it's like, but like, no.
Yeah.
That's just me as a comic book fan being a stickler.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, for all you know, or for all we know, what you're saying is true. And like the whole idea of like Spider-Man struggling with the idea that there's an evil version of Tony Stark who became Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
It totally shifts everything. So.
Yeah. And I think, look, their job is to nail it and do something compelling and interesting. I don't think their job is strictly to adapt comics. Marvel obviously goes away from that a lot. I think, though, they're very good at nailing the spirit of the thing most of the time. So, like, Civil War is way different, but the spirit of it is similar. You know what I mean? The big divide between Stark and Cap, I think, is on point. And even our 616 Tony or Spider-Man doesn't even have an Uncle Ben. Like Uncle Ben is not in the picture. It's Aunt May. So there's obviously differences.
Wouldn't that be something? Like imagine, bro. Imagine like you get to see. This is the kind of thing that excites me. Imagine you get to like Secret Wars, and instead of the fight like in the comics between Reed and Doom, it's Spider-Man and Doom.
Yeah.
But it's Spider-Man with the Venom symbiote.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably, dude.
Like,
I think they're gonna.
That would be pretty dope.
Yeah, I think they're gonna cook with that for sure.
The problem is it's going to be all Star Wars, man. It's going to feel like Star Wars. You're supposed to bring balance to the Force, Tony, not leave it in darkness.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I don't know. And look, I think they could solve a lot of these problems by just recasting for Doom afterwards. Now, look, there's a lot of evidence that like Feige does not like to do that. I mean, we still do not have a fucking T'Challa, bro. You know what I mean? And part of that's just because he is so hung up on like Chad being the definitive T'Challa. At the cost of having more T'Challa content, he wants to keep that legacy. So like, I could see him, you know, have that same thinking on Doom. But I think you just do the last panel of Secret Wars, the comic, and it's Doom, but he just looks different. It's not RDJ. Maybe now this is like true Doom in, you know, the new soft rebooted thing. And I also think there's a possibility that they just have Doom in the universe, but he's not super involved, right? So, you know, this happens in comics. Doom comes in, tries to take over, and then he has to kind of play low key for a while. He's literally taken over again right now, right? Post Blood Hunt. So they could bring him back 5-6 years from now. But yeah, there's obviously a lot of questions, a lot of passionate, concerned nerds out there.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I'm curious. It's gonna be it's gonna be intriguing.
It's gonna be a wild
either way,
couple of years.
Say, like, I am cautiously optimistic, which is a phrase I never thought I would use in relation to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
Honestly, with comic book movies in general, I'm cautiously optimistic. It's the comic book movie scene, man, is not in the best position it's ever been in.
Yeah, I agree. Shaky ground.
Yeah,
shaky ground.
Shaky ground, man. Like Joker 2 did terrible.
Yep.
No one really knows what James Gunn's DC Cinematic Universe is going to look like, so everybody's kind of curious about that.
Yep.
Marvel Cinematic Universe has been struggling since Phase 4.
Yep.
It's wild, man. Like
it is wild times.
Weird and wild times. Yeah,
it is.
Weird and wild times.
All right, brother. Well, hey, man, I really appreciate you coming on. I thought this was a really good combo. I might even clip this out and put it on a video because I thought it was a pretty good conversation. So, hell yeah.
That works, man. That's cool.
All right, brother, man. You take care, bro.
All right, I'll catch you later, dude.
All right, peace, man. Whoa! Chat. W is in chat. I mean, look, maybe I just like talking to Rob a lot, but I thought that was pretty good. I thought that was kind of peak conversation. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Because I think at the end of the day, these are a lot of the sort of questions and concerns that fans have. And like when I saw, because like, you know, I hit Rob up when I was working on the video. I think it was like Saturday. And I was just like, hey, man, I'm working on this video. Do you want to come on and like talk about this? And then we had a conversation about it. Like, Rob is an influencer in the space. Do you know what I mean? And so like, you know, his perspective on this thing and his like comments about it, it sort of makes waves, gets picked up in different conversations and everything like that. And I think that's absolutely great. I just thought some of the things that he's concerned about, I just wanted to be like, well, but what about this? Do you know what I mean? I think I'm probably a little bit more optimistic as compared to like a lot of other people out there with this decision particularly. And I see a way forward. You know, I feel like the dude in Dune 2, where he's like, surrounded by possible bullshit, I see a way forward. One way through it. And I see a way through it. I see a way where they can actually do this, pull this off, establish Doom, have it feel right. It's not going to be comic book Doom, but it could feel right. And then having this great Secret Wars, and then maybe even more Doom down the line. Yeah, the golden path, man. You are way more optimistic, and I think I was too until he said his point. Hey, that's fair. I mean, look, that's another reason why I wanted to talk to Rob, because I know a lot of you feel the same way, you know, and like, you should have your voice heard too, right? On these streams, just in general, right? So like, you might agree with Rob. I think that's great. I think this conversation needs to be had. And by the way, if Marvel's watching, I think they should be aware that this is what fans are worried about. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you should do a regular pod with Rob. I mean, but Rob's like if this was a sitcom, Rob is popping in a lot of episodes. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like we're already doing a show. This is like Seinfeld. Rob can pop in through the door anytime he wants, basically. You know? And yeah, we're both busy, you know, we're trying to do our things and all that, but yeah. Yeah, dude. Like, he can pop in pretty much any time that he wants. Did I watch the new Agatha Mid trailer? Yeah, we watched it. I mean, it's cool. I don't know how great it is per se. It kind of gives some stuff away, which I think is a little unfortunate. But yeah. All right, let me catch up on some chats here. We'll see what else is going on. What else do you guys want to talk about? And then I'm going to get on out of here. I do want to remind you, if you are a Unity supporter, next Monday, we're going to do a live stream. Going to be talking about Unity, giving you an update about it. If you're a collector, make sure you stay tuned for that. I think I'm actually going to give out links via the Kickstarter too. So even if you're not a collector and you want an update about Unity, you can come by next Monday. Next Monday night, we'll do a big update. I want to talk to you guys about the project, update you, give you a tentative date of release, and just talk about the changes that we've made behind the scenes. So next Monday, look out for that. I got to try to say that throughout the week too, because I've done a bad job of like telling people when we do these updates. So I want to update you about the update. So make sure you check that out. All right, let's catch up on some chats here. Oh, I forgot to ask Rob about goddamn Alien vs. Avengers. Holy shit. Sorry, I was just deep in it, man. One more month until I get my Infinity badge. The folks in this community are awesome. Nerd Avengers for life. The stash is canon, says Griff. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much, man. Damn, dude. Infinity badge. That's crazy. Janes says, I don't want to commit heresy, but do StarCraft Marines look similar to Space Marines? Do they? I mean, they might. That's heresy, bro. The Inquisitori has been informed of your heresy. Ammo Side B, welcome back to the Nerd Avengers, baby. Mark Mayer says, it's almost poetic. Arthur Fleck is entirely rejected by society, and so is his movie. There's something special about that. LOL. There is something kind of beautifully ironic about it, too. And I also think that, like, Todd becomes the guy that gets what he deserves. Like, isn't that silly? It's kind of wild how that worked out, huh? God, what a bad move, man. That would be like having this massive brand as Spider-Man and then wanting to make, like, your product non-alcoholic beer. It just seems weird. Spartan Joker says, I'm not late. You're all just too early. Flannel Josh variant has returned. I know, but then it got too hot in here. And I had to take the flannel off. Brick says, everyone is wrong except for me. You don't say that. Austin says, oh, check out the new trailer. Yeah, we did. Hey, Josh, saw a rumor that the way they are doing RDJ Doom is he's going to meet. Yeah, I don't think so, brother. I do not think that's real. Could be, though. C Black says, did you see the variety story on Billy Maximoff? Yeah, there's really nothing to it. I mean, they talk about how he's doing similar motions. They talk about him keeping the secret for a long time. That's pretty much all I saw in there. Javier Mendez says, I always hit no on the poll and don't hit the like button. Mwahahaha. That's heresy for sure, bro. The fuck? C Black says, you can use Mackie as Cap until the end of the saga. Push the movie back and never release it. Yeah, I mean, here's my take on it. And I think this is like a non-toxic way to say this. By the way, I could go into a whole, if you guys want me to. I mean, we're closing in on 3 hours, right? So we're getting pretty close to the end here. But there's something that just happened in the Magic the Gathering community. And I watched how some of the content creators reacted to it. And I was like, man, it's so interesting. Because they're like thinking about what's your responsibility as a content creator within the space. And having a sphere of influence You know, how should you treat that? What should you do? These are things that I think about, you know. But what I would say, like, if I was trying to be super nice about Captain America 4, is that I would say it is on the studio to deliver us Falcon as Captain America in a way that makes me A, buy it, and B, cheer for it. Like, an audience isn't charity. Do you know what I mean? So, like, the nicest way I can say it is that, like, I don't think this is working, and that's on them. Is there a way that they could have made this work? Absolutely. Like, I thought about Jane Foster Thor in Love and Thunder. That is such a horrible version of that character. Like, she's plucky about having cancer. It's ridiculous. Taika Waititi, what the fuck? But it's not fans' fault that they then don't respond to a poorly written, watered-down version of female Thor. So, do some people get toxic about it? Absolutely. And I think within fandom, like, there's just a lot of passionate people. And the bottom line is, you as a company, I think your responsibility is to understand your customer, not try to change them. So you got to meet them where they are. And a lot of the stuff that Marvel has attempted to do is just not, like, bro, I continue to believe, and maybe I'm crazy, but I continue to believe that Phase 4 could have worked. Like, it's not just that they did all new, all different Marvel, although that maybe puts them on the back foot. It's that they did it terribly. Right? So, like, I think Mackie as Cap is just not working. And who is to blame? It's Marvel, bro. It's not the fans. Yeah, Justin says, Marvel has not given us a reason to have an attachment to these characters. Until they give us a reason to care about these new characters, they are going to have the same issues. Yeah, totally. Is it Marvel, Disney, and Sony? Well, in this case, it's Marvel. I mean, Marvel had, after Infinity War and Endgame, they had all the fucking leeway in the world. They had complete creative control, which is why things got wildly out of hand. Because they were so successful. It's actually a lot like Joker 2. They were so successful that I'm guaranteeing you, Bob Iger, Bob Chapek, all those people, they just let them cook. Like, ultimately, Marvel, and really Kevin, is, I think, pretty much solely to blame for a lot of these problems. You know what I mean? Also, Mackie isn't an actor that can carry a movie, so they're jamming Hulk variants into it. Okay, dude, that could be totally true. We have some people that feel that way. I've seen Mackie in a lot of stuff. Some of the stuff I think is really good. There was this, like, weird movie he did where there's, like, a time-traveling drug, and I actually thought he was really good in the lead of that. He's okay in, like, Altered Carbon. He's okay in a lot of stuff. I do think, though, that he worked great as the sidekick. He was, like, great as the sidekick. And it just hasn't worked fully. You know? But that is interesting. Ryan Carter, thanks for the 10, brother. Says, late to the convo, but was Poker Pro for 15 years. I have a best-selling book on poker mindset. Hit me up if you want a copy or have any questions. Dude, hell yeah. I have all kinds of questions. I'm sort of slowly learning ranges and how to represent ranges and stuff like that. So, yeah, maybe I'll hit you up. C Black says, Marvel released mid-season trailer for Agatha. Yeah, we talked about it. Dirt Wizard says, I've been rewatching the MCU stuff again, and I can definitely see Tony as an adopted Doom. He has a dark edge a lot. Great stream. Yep. I agree. I think that's the way they're going. Jesse says, can't believe I've been watching this dope channel for well over a year now. Oh my gosh. Nerd Vengeance for life. Hey, appreciate you. Thank you so much. Michael Real says, IMDb has episode 4 of The Penguin as a 9.6 right now. Hashtag Losh. Guys, do you think my Penguin take is an L? Like, do you think my Penguin take is an L, chat? Is my take an L, chat? Hey, Justin says it's a rare W. Wait, what? Seems we have some mixed opinions in chat. J-Mike Gaming says, I gotta run the stream back. What did I miss? Give me the 60-second rundown, Papa Josh. Okay. Modern Poker hard. Penguin not good. Joker bomb. Armor Wars canceled. Vision Quest. What? Daredevil good. Avengers vs. X-Men and Doomsday. Rob and Josh argue about Doctor Doom. Oh yeah, Bureau too. Yeah, we talked about that. X90008 says, come again. This time in my ears. Rob and I, early Diamond Lounge entry, The Den of Explained. Hey, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Jared N says, Den of Goats, pretty pumped for Venom, one of my favorite OG characters back in the day. Also pumped for the new DC era in comics. Good jumping on point. Yeah, dude, the Absolute universe in DC is looking incredible. Very excited about that. And then Venom. Not this Thursday, but next Thursday, man. And I'm pretty excited to check that out. I mean, look. It's short. Hopefully it's sweet. Hopefully it's sweet. And X90008, thank you for the gifted membership, brother. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I'll hang out for just a couple of minutes here, and then I gotta get on out of here. Anything else on your mind? Any other questions? Is Denzel Washington confirmed for Doctor Strange 3? I don't think so. I don't think so. I know there's a production weekly thing that's out there. But I don't know that that's true. I mean, from what I understand, they're not even casting yet. So I don't know how they could know he's Dormammu. They're not even casting. Right? Do you think we'll see Wanda in a post-credit scene in the finale? No. Can I tell you something that we could see, though? And I don't actually believe this. I don't think this is real. But there were long-standing rumors that after all of Agatha, they were going to surprise drop a Witches Road special presentation, kind of like what they did with Werewolf by Night, and then maybe Wanda would be in that. Haven't heard anything about that in a long time, but it's an old rumor. Faux show. Alien Diamond Stream this week. Diamond Stream is actually going to happen on November 1st, and we're going to make it Halloween themed. So I'm going to dress up, have some drinks, have some smokes. It should be good. Episode 9 is going to be that special. I don't think so, but maybe. Maybe. Yeah, Jack, I mean, that's just what it is, brother. That's what it is. If you're not excited, that's valid. I understand. Woo! Okay, everybody. We're going to get on out of here. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Going to dress up as the Blob? No, but I should. That'd be good. We want Wanda. I like Wanda. I can't believe you forgot the AVA question, though. I know. There was a part of the convo where I remembered it, but then we were in the thick of like something else. So I was like, yeah, we'll just do that. Yeah. Okay, everybody. Hey, much love. Appreciate you guys. God, it's been so nice in the tower. So nice and like quiet and more calm lately. I don't know if you guys noticed, but it's been so nice recently. And I appreciate it. So thank you. Much love. And as I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day. And I'll see you in the next video. It's because you're ignoring Twitch? Maybe. Maybe. Is everybody gone? Did everybody leave? Another happy landing. Oh man, that's good shit. Hey, we're gonna get this nerdy news rundown thing down solid. Okay, still tweaking it a little bit. Got to get the timing a little bit more, you know, because we need it to be a nice chunk of things that we can chunk in and chunk out. And then we put it on the Spotifys, and then everybody goes to watch it on the Spotifys and all that. We're working on it. We're working the muscles. We're building the muscle memory, baby. I appreciate you guys hanging with me through the growing pains. Much love. Big old Spider-Man video tonight. Lots of juicy videos throughout the week. I'm just getting started. Remember to open up your third eye and wash out your stinky butthole.